Good morning and welcome to Pembroke Cricket Club in Dublin 4, just south of Dublin City Centre, for this day 2 of the Cricket Ireland IP20 Festival, the first of 3 T20 festivals as we continue to build up to a huge year at T20 cricket for the Irish international team. Men's side off to a World Cup later in the year. Good day of action yesterday, but 2 very one-sided games. The Leinster Lightning and the Northwest Warriors both scoring bonus point wins over the Munster Reds and the Northern Knights respectively. And the Knights, who were particularly poor yesterday, are going to need to bounce back early against the home side. The Leinster Lightning, they've been dominant in this competition. 6 out of the 8 editions they have won. Can they make it a 7th? Games like this morning going to be key to the outcome of that. Andrew Leonard here in the commentary box. A little while earlier, we had John Kenny from RT Sport out with the 2 captains. Let's go and find out what happened.
Well, it's a little cooler than yesterday, but we're going to get a prompt start today for the second day of this IP20 festival. And today is the Northern Knights against the Leinster Lightning. George Dockrell and Harry Tector are with us. Kevin Gallagher is our referee. George's team, the Lightning, are the home side, so Harry's going to call.
Tails.
Tails is the call.
It's a head. Heads.
And it's a head.
We'll
so,
have a ball, please.
George, you've won the toss and the decision.
Yeah, we're going to have a ball. Worked well for us yesterday. Again, there's a little bit of grass still on the pitch and slightly overcast morning, so hopefully we can ball well and again chase on this pitch.
Sure, a little bit of wind around as well this morning, so
Yeah,
a bit of on your favour.
Slightly different weather from yesterday, and again that's why we're hoping that it might be a little bit more conducive to that new ball early on in the morning. But I think either way we'll have to start well.
Okay, and in terms of your team news?
Unchanged team.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Harry, if you wouldn't mind just stepping in, so you're going to have to bat first. You've got a lot of work to do. Yesterday was a big defeat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. But again, one bad defeat doesn't make you a bad team. So learn from yesterday. Obviously, you have to perform a lot better with bat and ball. But we know what we need to do, and it's still a good pitch. So hopefully, post a good total.
Yeah, same pitch as yesterday. In fact, the same pitch for all 3 days, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and look, I think Dell's produced a really nice wicket, good covering the grass on it, which has sort of kept the pace in the wicket, which is good to see. So, yeah, hopefully post a good total this morning and then try and defend it.
Sure. Lightning are unchanged. What about you?
Yeah, unfortunately, Jeremy Lawler rolled his ankle yesterday, so he's out, and John Matchett is in.
John Matchett is in. Okay, thanks for joining us, lads. So, the Lightning have won the toss yet again. They're going to have a bowl.
Very energetic John Kenny this morning. Almost wants to come off the long run himself there, I reckon. Indicating that the Leinster Lightning are going to have a bowl first. No real surprise in that. Any assistance you would see for the seam bowlers in particular would probably be in the morning. You can see David Delaney just walking across your pictures there,
sorting out his muscles.
Yeah, I've got Alan Lewis in the commentary box next to me, so chomping at the bit. I wasn't even able to introduce you. Alan, how are you this morning?
Very good this morning. Beautiful morning. A little bit chilly beforehand, but the mist has cleared and we've got beautiful blue skies ahead. Great setup here in Pembroke. Probably for the spectators a pity that the 2 games were so one-sided yesterday, but I would have to tell you the thing that excited me was watching how the Northwest Warriors went about their business in chasing what was a meagre total, but the way they went about it, the flexibility, the captain and the coach, in terms of the batting lineup, the excitement that was brought in terms of the hitting and how they went about their T20 cricket. And I'm sure we've been sitting around here, the chairman of the Irish selectors, Andrew, and also Coach Graham Ford, who was here yesterday, must have been particularly pleased with what he saw from them. And obviously, as you say, the Lightning have been dominant in this competition and again showed themselves in terms of upping gears what they can do.
Yeah, the Lightning, not just dominant, but hugely consistent. Wasn't quite as spectacular a performance as that of the Northwest Warriors yesterday, but certainly it was... Leinster Lightning against the Northwest Warriors. That will be at 11 a.m. Before rounding out the festival will be the Northern Knights against the Munster Reds at 4 p.m. We'll do it all again next week up in Brady. So a real wealth of T20 cricket over the course of 2 weeks. I just want to quickly run you through the playing 11s, Alan, before we get going. The Leinster Lightning, they are unchanged, no surprise there.
No real surprise. I think the issue for the Knights is how they're going to potentially bounce back after what was a miserable performance really yesterday by them.
One change for the Northern Knights. Speaking of the Northern Knights, Alan, John Matchett into the playing 11. He's coming in place of Jeremy Lawler, who's rolled his ankle. Josh Little to get things underway this morning. Bowling to Luke Georgeson, who dispatches a short wide one over the offside for a boundary four. Not the start that Leinster Lightning would have wanted from their express fast bowler. Width punished by Georgeson.
Absolutely. Far too wide there from Josh Little, and it was meat and drink to Georgeson. And the thing he did well there, Andrew, is there was the elevation. It's something we're seeing a lot more of now. If the ball is hit square of the wicket, players looking to elevate it over that infield as opposed to getting it through.
Follows up with the Yorker. Good comeback from Little. Yeah, the approach yesterday from the Knights felt a little staid, a little almost old school, more like a approach to an ODI or a 50 over innings rather than a T20.
Absolutely, outside of probably James McCollum, who showed some innovation and ingenuity in his innings at the top of the order, but the rest, as you say, looked a little bit staid. It was a little bit more old school, to be perfectly frank.
It's a really good length that from Josh Little. Georgeson just getting the bat down in time. Yeah, I think a few of the posts I saw floating around the various Cricket Ireland fan groups and the like were wondering what exactly was going on with the Knights yesterday. It was about as heavy a T20 defeat as you'll see at any level of the game. And I think the big change for them has to be today, and probably a good thing they're straight back on the horse in terms of the morning game. They've got to change their mindset, got to change their approach, get more positive.
Yes, that would be one thing. And again, the other side of things, as you say, getting on this morning, if there can be a bounce back, if they can really challenge in this match against the Lightning and possibly win it, days like yesterday can be forgotten quite quickly. That's just the nature of the beast.
That's a glorious shot from James McCollum, picking up where he left off yesterday. Extra cover drive width for the second time in the over from Little, punished for the second time in the over. The first one was a drag down outside the off stump to the left-hander. This time over pitch to the right-hander, Alan.
Yeah, it was wide again, foolish, and slammed through extra cover. And again, one part of it is execution, the other is finding the gap, and that's what James McCollum has done very successfully. Great shot from him and a great start from him.
And that one has just looped into the air, and a little bit of fancy footwork needed by McCollum to ensure he keeps his wicket intact. I wonder would that have spun back onto the stumps, Alan?
Well, could have, but he was very aware of where the ball was. We've seen a couple of instances of that in world cricket. Sometimes you actually get a wee bit of a fright. Gosh, is that going to roll back onto the stump? Oh, what will I going to do? And he just try and kick it away. Of course, we had a situation where Graham Gooch handled it away many years ago, and that was the end of him.
Going to be 3 boundaries in the first over. As soon as you pierce the infield here in the power play, it's always going to run away for 4. The extra pace of Little is very much to McCollum's liking. 2 boundaries for him, 13 runs from the first over. A much better start from the Knights today.
Yeah, much better start. Not really a very good over from Josh Little at all. A lot of width on offer throughout the over. And again, the one thing the Knights have done there, McCollum and Georgeson, they haven't missed out. They found the gap on each occasion. And after the first over, it's 13 without loss, so that will give them some cheer. And it's Barry McCarthy, who's going to be coming from the St. John's Road end. Andrew?
Yeah, this is the end he's had so much success from in the IP20 earlier in the year. Tournament's leading wicket taker there by a distance. The standout bowler of the interprovincial season so far. Not quite as good a day as usual for Barry yesterday, although he did pick up the solitary wicket. In fact, he picked up 2 for 34 yesterday. course, he bowled Fionn Hand late in the innings as well. 2 wickets yesterday for McCarthy. Little O'Halloran, who's probably the pick of the bunch, 2 for 20 for him. That young Malahide seamer, he's really stepping into the shoes of Peter Chase very effectively. McCarthy here in his home ground.
Oh, and that's put down. Difficult chance away to his right hand side. George Dockrell hit with great power by Georgeson, but the ever reliable George Dockrell has put that down.
It's going to his weaker side, going to his right. It was slightly over pitched, almost a half volley. Really good effort by Dockrell. Right on that artificial mat, just making it a little bit more difficult. Got both hands to it cleanly, moved quickly, but he's grasped it and he's put it down. First chance of the day. A life goes to Georgeson. Wholehearted stuff from McCarthy as always, flinging himself about, but they'll have plenty of time to get through for the single.
Well, even in that, Andrew, the James McCollum looking for the single, another single in the last over. That's another aspect of yesterday. You've got to be looking to get the better balls away, keep the strike rotating, left and right hand in, as we've talked about before, but that's been progress even in these early stages from the Knights.
And this is exactly what you want to see as a coach. You want to see, after a day like yesterday, all of those demons laid to rest immediately, and the immediate change in intent from these two openers. I know we're only 8 deliveries in. We've had a drop catch there straight away, looking to remedy that. Probably some harsh words last night from Simon Johnston, the head coach of the Knights. Nicely bowled by McCarthy, just beating the drive of McCollum. That's the shape that McCarthy gets that makes him so effective and so penetrative. Do you think he's just been a little bit too full, just like Little was?
Well, possibly there, but he's just got that wee bit of extra movement. Naturally takes the ball away from the right-hander. I was just thinking to myself, what must that team talk have been like last night? And we've all been on the back of heavy defeats from time to time, Andrew, playing any level of cricket.
That's a really good length for McCarthy. I think that's where he wants to be at. The ball coming up into the bat, to the arch of the bat, hitting high up towards the V. Good pace as well from McCarthy. Yeah, I wonder, was it the hairdryer treatment from Simon Johnston, or was it more of it was that bad that we need to rebuild these guys' confidence up?
I think you're just more interested in really how you're going to respond, how your team are going to respond. That's the most important thing. It's in many cases not a coaching thing, it's a state of mind thing. And even in the early stages, you say 9 deliveries in, Andrew, we've seen things a little bit better.
Looks for the scoop shot, and that's gone directly over the top of leg stump. We've seen this so often, whichever side was batting, probably with the exception of the Northwest Warriors, because they weren't in long enough to make it happen. But as soon as you have 2 dots, just 2 dots, that's all you need as a bowler. The batsman has to try and change something, tries to invent a shot that isn't quite there.
True, and a lot of that again is execution. What seemed to happen, yes, the ramp shot has become huge in the modern game, but you probably need a stable base, and James McCollum there was just possibly a little bit too much movement. You nearly need to be static before you try and get the deflection on it.
Driven, that's a really good shot from James McCollum. That's hit on the up, Alan. That's a shot of real class. Proper conventional cricket shot. Why try the ramp when you can do that? 4 runs to close out the over. McCarthy couldn't get out of it. 5 runs coming from it. A really good boundary for the Knights.
Couldn't agree more. This is a shot of the highest quality. And again, when James McCollum gets going, he is a player of the highest quality. And again, he will have a wee bit of a point to prove. Obviously, he's suffered with his shoulder, dislocated shoulder, but I can just feel just an inner determination there from him. And again, even within his stroke play yesterday, a lot of it was of high quality. And again, he's bringing it here. There was a shot of great beauty on the up, as you say, through extra cover.
Glorious shot. First class stuff from James McCollum, who, by his own admission, will have been really disappointed with his start to the season in the 50 over stuff. Trying to find a way back via T20 cricket. David O'Halloran into the attack, replacing Josh Little, going to come around the wicket. And he is dispatched through the leg side. Apologies. just a real loosener from O'Halloran. Dockrell jumps high up above his position there at mid-wicket, but can't get anything on it. Not a good start from David.
Certainly not. That was short. It looked, as you say, Andrew, a little bit of a warm-up delivery as opposed to being ready, and it just sat up and got the treatment it deserved from Georgeson. And it's a good start by the Knights, which I'm sure will please their coach Simon Johnson.
Just run off the face of the bat down towards third man. Going to be work to do for Barry McCarthy, and he does it absolutely brilliantly. Cuts off what looked like a certain boundary, saves 3 runs. Outstanding from the fast bowler.
Yep, excellent piece of fielding down there. Guided really nicely, fine by Georgeson. But he didn't just go with the hand. He got something in front of it there. This full extent of his arm, pushed the ball forward and got it back in quickly. And as you say, saved his team some runs. Certainly 1, if not 3.
I think he's without doubt saved 3 runs. Just the single there to Georgeson, right off the face of the bat, nicely steered. Bring the right-hander McCollum onto strike. That's come off the top edge. McCollum loves the pull shot, loves the hook shot. He's been a little bit surprised by the additional bounce from the tall. O'Halloran just loops off the outside edge. Third man is quite wide, 4 more to the total.
Again, just that little bit short again from David O'Halloran, but fortuitous you can call it. But it's this intent that you've seen here this morning, Andrew, the response to what possibly they saw in terms of the onslaught against them yesterday.
Just losing his shape, probably looking to hit that away through the offside, skews off the inside edge, straight to Simi Singh. Yeah, the change in mindset, it looks like to me, perhaps the Knights have learnt very quickly. They can't bat the way they did yesterday. It was a really iffy performance. I don't want to take away from the quality of the Northwest Warriors bowling at them. They were so impressive, well drilled. But it looks like a different side this morning, and Kevin O'Brien just trying to slow things down, use his experience, speak to his young fast bowler, asking him where is he going to bowl, what's he trying to do. Like to see this good use of his knowledge from the now veteran O'Brien.
That's clever. I totally agree with you, Andrew. And again, any sort of sentiment with Kevin O'Brien's experience, pushing square leg out to deep square, bringing third man into the circle.
Yeah, you can see clearly trying to talk to the young bowler. Where is he going to bowl and where is he likely to be hit? You're only allowed 2 fielders outside the 30-yard circle during the power play. And O'Brien just questioning, why do you have third man back?
Yep, there's a lot to be said for it. And interestingly, at this ground, Andrew, sometimes your third man needs to be that little bit finer, which doesn't often happen, because anything that, and no different to what we saw with Barry McCarthy there, that scoots down there, you need to be finer in those positions. And probably what Kevin O'Brien was saying to Dave O'Halloran, look, if it is chipped down there, it's going to be 4 anyway. Let's try and protect the leg side for that. Maybe bowl it slightly shorter or hack leg side. Get your third man into the circle. It was good thinking. And again, whatever he was saying, the fact that he just slowed the pace of the game down, did those sorts of things. Often in these situations, you can be saying nothing, as you can imagine. It's good from Kevin O'Brien, that for the young bowler.
3 overs gone, 28 for none. Good finish to that over from O'Halloran. 3 runs coming from the final. 1 run coming from the final 3 deliveries, 2 dots and a single, and just good from him battling back. And George Dockrell is going to continue to ring the bowling changes. The 4th over, we see the 3rd bowling change, 4 different bowlers used already. The star show for the Leinster Lightning, Simi Singh. What a performer he's been in both the blue of Leinster and the green of Ireland. Probably rapidly turned himself into one of Ireland's most consistent bowlers.
Yes, I think so. And I think the reason for that, Andrew, is Andrew McBride. You need competition within a team. And I think they've spurred each other on. And I think they probably, developed even, like obviously they were playing together.
Yeah, so spin for the first time today, just cramping up McCollum to start with.
Just what I was going to say, playing together in those games against them. They've driven each other on. And it's a good thing, because you're right, he has, with Andrew, been premier for both of their provincial sides.
Yeah, they've been Ireland's most economical bowlers as well. McCollum gets really inventive, really creative. Not the ramp over the shoulder to the leg side, but a little scoop shot through the vacant area behind square in the offside. This is really clever batting. He's read the delivery perfectly. He's just scooped it away, used the pace on the ball, 4 runs.
Well, the interesting thing was he was still there. Andrew got his head going towards the ball, got the bat out, and just at the last minute just got that beautiful deflection. And very skillful batting that from James McCollum, and it's brought the change. Dave O'Halloran coming to a short third man by Simi Singh.
He tries to go through the leg side, but Singh anticipated that. The change in the field was a fielder from the leg side over to the offside, so he's gone from a 5-4 leg side field to a 5-4 offside field, so McCollum tries to hit him through the leg side, can't make contact.
Did you notice the change of action there by Simi Singh? There was...
That's a really good shot. That's going to race away. The outfield's quick again. That's Peter Twamley there, one of the 100 spectators in from the Pembroke Cricket Club here today.
He's taking one on the shin there, Peter Twamley. Need to improve your fielding down there, Peter. Great shot here from McCollum. Again, the strong shots are the most productive.
He's wearing that right in the shin. Poor old Pete. The ball getting a little bigger and quicker on him than he would have thought, maybe. Be safe in the crowd. The ball's going to be flying everywhere if you're coming down. All those tickets pre-sold, of course. Yeah, but McCollum challenging Singh. He's hit 2 boundaries through the offside. He's going to try and scutch him through the leg side at some point. 2 fielders in the deep are on the leg side, both long on and deep mid-wicket in place. 2 men behind square on the leg side as well, interestingly. Manages to tuck him up and get out of his over well, just like O'Halloran did. Comes back well. Still 2 boundaries from it, though. Really good start this from the Knights. No wickets down yet. 4 overs gone. It's 36 for none.
Yeah, good work by the Knights here, has to be said. Much better today. James McCollum leading from the front. 25 from 14 deliveries with shots all round the ground. Georgeson playing a good supporting role. And they've made a good fist at the beginning of this power play. They'll be wanting to kick on. There's no doubt about that. As O'Halloran continues.
Yeah, the first bowler to stay on in his spell after constant bowling changes to start. Get through for a single. We saw yesterday, sorry Alan, we saw yesterday JJ Garth used for just 1 over. Will we see more of him today, do you think?
It's going to be interesting. Just in that type of sense, in the sense of if you're only going to be bowling 1 over and you're coming in as what is believed to be the premier wrist spinner, you've got to be asking yourself questions. But what I wanted to talk about there was Georgeson. That was clever cricket by him, because he can sit behind the role that McCollum is playing here, get him on strike as much as you can. And that's clever from the Knights. And that's going to be out, I'm afraid. Straight down Kevin O'Brien's throat. Easy pickings for him. And a great response from David O'Halloran. Getting it that little bit fuller. And James McCollum getting it half bat high. But it's been a valuable innings from him. 25 from 15 deliveries. He'll be a little bit disappointed to kind of finish in that fashion. A little bit more upright. Getting through the ball. Nonchalant by O'Brien.
Yeah,
it has to be said. No surprise there.
Don't think I've seen a
from a
catch
tree.
taken in a more casual manner, Alan. Really simple stuff for the buckets. O'Brien is what they call him. McCollum falls. Didn't hold his shape in any way. I think probably looking maybe with the line of that delivery to go over the leg side, but he just skewed it towards the offside really. Not quite a leading edge, but that good length from O'Halloran has profited.
Well, it's funny, when that right side of your body starts coming in, it just narrows down in many ways the strong hitting area on the bat, and that's precisely what happened there. And you possibly were right, Andrew, possibly looking to in the end take that a wee bit leg side. He's got it half high on the bat, and the simplest of catches for Kevin O'Brien. It wouldn't have been the sort of catch you'd want to be dropping, Andrew.
Could have looked quite foolish if he did, but he was never going to. Buckets is what they call him in the family in particular. Massive big hands. Big donk. He's gone for 25, McCollum. And the new man to the crease in at number 3. I think it's Ruan Pretorius up the order, is it, Alan?
It is.
Indeed, yeah.
Ruan Pretorius up the order. That's the type of untidiness I don't like to see in the field, Andrew. A lame throw in from JJ Gart, not picked up by Lorcan Tucker. Sort of thing I don't like to see whenever I was playing.
Yeah, no excuses for Garth, one of the best fielders in this Lightning side. That one's cut away, width on offer for Pretorius. Up the order today in the absence of Lawler. Cuts that away powerfully, gets right on top of the bounce. A really good conventional cricket shot. 4 more runs to the total.
Not a good ball though, Andrew, really. You want to be just hitting back of that length straight as you can. That was wide, short, and really got the treatment it deserved from Ruan Pretorius.
Yeah, the width was the issue there, not necessarily the length.
I'd accept that, Andrew.
That's a better line, but really good batting from Pretorius. Gets it away for the single. In at number 7 yesterday, Pretorius, 13 off 16 deliveries. Wouldn't necessarily be known as a big hitter, so the Knights perhaps continuing with a more conventional approach rather than floating someone like Rossadair up the order.
The more interesting thing there is Rossadair is in club cricket going at a strike rate of between 180 and 200 week in, week out. And he was languishing down the lower order yesterday in a no-win situation, really.
He batted at number 8 yesterday. Good shot and only half a stop from Little. So it'll allow them to get back for 2. 5 overs gone. The Knights in a good position, having lost the toss, being asked to have a bat this morning. Score is 46 for 1.
So a good start from the Knights, Andrew.
Going to see a change in bowling. Barry McCarthy back into the attack. Just 1 over so far for him. Loves bowling from the St. John's Road end, Alan. Gets that good lift from that length.
And that is the length. Andrew, we're talking about top of off stump. You don't need to veer from that too much. In this form of cricket, we saw a lot yesterday of the Northwest Warriors giving themselves that room to force the ball away, particularly Stephen Donny, on balls that were probably going to hit the stumps, but he backed himself to get the ball away square on the offside. But that's good from McCarthy. Let the batsmen decide what they're going to do in these situations.
Yeah, McCarthy back into the attack. The leader of this Lightning attack. Good bounce, good carry through to Lorcan Tucker. Lorcan Tucker's a long way back there. We spoke about the pace Delaney brought yesterday. Josh Little bowling at a good pace. Craig Young bowling at a good pace. The pace bowling stocks of Ireland possibly never been as ripe or as rich.
Absolutely true. Certainly Delaney yesterday bowled with some pace, but it left the ground with some pace at some stages yesterday too. But it's always exciting when you see the quicker bowlers. It just tends to lift everyone in the ground when you see someone bowl express.
The X factor, something he has, no doubt about that. No timing at all from Pretorius. Pretorius a little bit like Murray Cummins and a couple of these other very fine 50 over cricketers. Jeremy Lawler yesterday. T20 just doesn't look like their natural game when they're trying to force things too much.
I think it's something that you've got to, in a sense, as a batter, evolve. You either are that natural type of belligerent stroke player. You know, in a sense, you wouldn't say the same about Stephen Donny. The one from me yesterday that I think, and we talked about T20 selection. I think if Shane Getgate actually concentrates more on his batting.
Hit down the ground towards mid-off, just over the head of Jamie Garassi. He was looking to elevate at Georgeson. His heart will have been in his mouth for just a moment, but he got enough of it to get it over the infield, and it runs away for 4.
Yeah, I was just talking yesterday about that. It's a lovely shot from Georgeson, but the clean striking of Shane Gack, which is something he's shown even throughout, his performances for the Wolves. But yesterday was just beautiful, the cleanliness with which he hit the ball.
This one going to go towards Garassi. He can't quite cling on. That would have been a very good catch indeed. I'm going to get back for 3. Really good running from Georgeson. That was definitely a chance though, but it would have been a hell of a grab, Alan.
I think it would have been a hell of a grab, but really, Jamie Grassi never quite got there. Of course, we all know most of his time he spends as a wicketkeeper, but Ireland's premier wicketkeeper is behind the stumps. Probably needed to get there a little bit quicker. Andrew, he might have made, I'm not going to suggest a comfortable catch, but could have made life easier for himself.
If you look where the ball actually ended up landing, he would have needed to be right on the edge of the 30-yard circle, which he was at the point of impact from the bat. Beautifully bowled by McCarthy, so he's actually made quite good ground to get towards that.
Well, I think the thing that you try and impress upon fielders in situations of catches like that, get off the mark. Get there as quick as you can. You might only have to, once you've got the line of the ball or where it's going, you might only have to look up at the last minute, but if you have to get there.
Yeah, fine effort by Garassi, but he couldn't hold on. The second chance to go down of the day. First one, a slightly easier one from George Dockrell. 2 tough chances, neither of them could be clung on to. Kevin O'Brien just showing maybe he might bowl a few off breaks at some stage in his career. Haven't seen him used with the ball yet. 6 overs gone, and we're going to have the first change in the commentary box. John Kenny's going to replace Alan Lewis. I think Alan, a big afternoon ahead. Give him a little break. John Kenny come in and join me. And the change in the commentary box, we'll have a change in bowling. Simi Singh back in, a change of ends for him as well, coming in now from the Willfield Road end. Going to come around the wicket to the left-handed Georgeson. John, a much more impressive start for the Knights today. They look like a different outfit to the one that was, to be honest, hammered yesterday.
Yeah, and Georgeson in particular has been in the hurry up mode, hasn't he? Pushing for singles and turning them into 2s and 3s. And that's what they needed to do yesterday. They just really got stuck in that reply. 55 for 1 in the 7th over is a good start. James McCollum, the man out, but he's laid a platform with his 25. Thought he looked good for his 15 deliveries before he was nonchalantly caught by Kevin O'Brien, just walking in and collecting the ball off the bowling of O'Halloran, who again continues his good run from yesterday. Well, cries of catch. You won't catch that. It's gone over George Dockrell's head, and a first maximum of the morning, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. That's a huge hit, and 6 to the total.
Yeah, he's held his shape really well here, Pretorius. It was into the hitting arc, there's no doubt. I think Dockrell just for a moment was trying to steady right in the edge of the rope, thought he might be able to get under it, but that's a big hit out that side of the ground, John. And he's caught all of it and it's gone all the way for the first 6 of the day.
Yeah, if you're going to hit it to that part of the ground, which is the largest part of the ground, you're going to have to hit it fairly hard and fairly high, and that's exactly what he did. And you're right, just for a second, Dockrell fancied that. A little misfield. They're going to run through for the single. That's good cricket. Call of wait first before O'Halloran let the ball slip through the fingers, and then off they galloped for another single. So 22 for Georgeson, and Pretorius has shown real attempt since he's arrived on 15 not out. Lovely morning here. Not quite as warm as yesterday. A little breeze blowing across the ground, but we don't mind that. The skies have parted above us as Singh continues.
Yeah, the weather tomorrow may be not as good, but certainly yesterday and today very fine. Nice cricketing weather. Hopefully those showers that are forecast for tomorrow don't come, because we could have a particularly good game in the morning. You'd have to think that the Lightning versus the Warriors could be one of the highlights the entire 3 days.
Yeah. Knights need a win here though. It's a lot quieter here today. We had this posse from Mullingar in yesterday, making a lot of noise, very rambunctious. It was great to hear. We all got a bit of bird yesterday, which was good. A couple of runs for the Knights. And Pretorius. His first of 2 games today. Later on, the Warriors against the Munster Reds. Reds got well beaten yesterday. Indeed, so did the Knights. So a little work to do to rescue this. But they've started in good fashion here. That one won't beat Dockrell. Not quite off the middle of the bat, but lands safely. And that ends that sing over. And at the end of that, the 7th over, 66 for 1, with opener Luke Georgeson on 23 and 18 to Ruan Pretorius. One change today for the Northern Knights. Jeremy Lawler went over on an ankle. You may have heard that at the toss. And he's been replaced by CIYMS's 23-year-old John Matchett.
Yeah, that final delivery of that sing over, flatter and not as full. You saw the 6 in the over was fuller right into the hitting arc. Pretorius thought it was going to be a fuller length, tried to repeat the dose but didn't get anywhere near enough of it, and ends up being fortunate that it falls in front to George Dockrell, the Lightning captain, who's going to bring himself on to bowl. No JJ Garth yet. 6 bowling options including Dockrell really. Might see Kevin O'Brien, maybe he might be the 7th bowler. But Dockrell, for all the brilliance of his batting this season and last season, his bowling has been on the wane a little, and he'll want to start finding a rhythm and a loop. Yesterday it was the left-handed Cummins who really went after him, so be happy to be bowling to the right-hander to start with.
See me sing in quickly, not quickly enough though. Yeah, Dockrell got a bit of a treatment yesterday, didn't he? Batted extremely well and made one little mistake towards the end of his innings. In fact, the last ball of the innings, he was heading all the way for 4 runs and decided to cross and complete the run, which meant he was 2 runs short of his 50. Don't think he'll make that mistake again.
Yeah, if he had just sat in his bat and watched it run away for 4, he'd have had a T20 50, but it was a career best anyway in the format for George Dockrell. 48 not out yesterday, batted so impressively. We were all wondering whether he could take that 50 over form with the bat into the T20 version. He did. His bowling though, he'll have to face up to the left-hander now.
Well, tries to catch it, and he won't catch that either. The biggest danger was the spectator lying on his back down at mid-wicket, and it came straight towards him as the cry of catch it, and it's gone behind the barriers as well. That's the second maximum of the morning.
Yeah, drag down, not a good delivery from George Dockrell. He has struggled for form with the ball, and it feels like every time he gets thrown the ball at the moment, the batsman's eyes are lighting up and he's just getting pumped into the deep. He's had big problems against left-handers in particular.
A quick single, and Josh Little fumbles it, so they get through safely. 74 for 1. Nice platform this. Plenty of wickets in hand, coming towards the midway point of the Knights' innings, having been put into bat, losing the toss this morning. Well, George can make the decision whether to bring himself on or off, and he's obviously made the decision that he thinks he can contribute here. But yesterday he certainly did get the treatment, though. As you say, he did bat well. He does have other options, you say, like Kevin O'Brien and JJ Garth. That's a lot flatter delivery, that one. I'm going to push for a single, and the wicketkeeper's going an awful long way to collect that. That's good cricket.
Yeah, good work from Lorcan Tucker. Quick off the mark, sprinting with the helmet and the gloves on. Managed to get there in time to cut off any chance of 2. See the difference a 6 makes to an over though, John. 4 deliveries gone, already 9 runs. The Knights are on top in this over. They'll just fancy Georgeson to keep pressing Dockrell. Target straight down the ground, I suspect.
Again, Tucker has to do the fielding. Yeah, interesting to listen to Harvey Tector at the toss when I suggested, well, obviously pointed out to him that they got well beaten yesterday, but he says, yeah, well, it doesn't turn us into a bad side overnight. And so they've proved in the early part of this innings. Going nicely, well bowled George Dockrell.
Dockrell will be pleased to get out of that over, despite the 6-10 runs only coming from it. So 8 overs gone. The Knights on course for a big total, 76 for 1 after 8. The Lightning need to find a way back into this game. And the way back into the game, John, as so often for any bowling or fielding side, they're going to have to find some wickets. So if I was the captain now, I'd be wanting to go to my leg spinner, wanting to find a breakthrough, but they're not going to go to the leggy. They're going to go to the left arm pace of Josh Little, just the one over so far from him. They want to go to the strike bowler to try and find this breakthrough. Good stuff from McCarthy, but the rest of the attack all treated expensively so far, all going at 10 and over or more, John.
Yeah, Josh Little got a bit of treatment from McCollum in his opening over went for 13 runs, so I'll be hoping for better from the commentary box end. Has a word with Kevin O'Brien, who announced his retirement yesterday from the 50 over format of the game, but it's going to stay on, and T20 and hopefully a couple of test matches over the next couple of seasons. Anyway, here comes Little to start the 9th over. 76 for 1. Tries to catch it, should be caught in the deep, and nicely done. So the change of bowling does the job, and there goes the opener. Luke Georgeson tries to carve that away into the offside, but a good catch in the deep, and the second wicket goes down with the score on 76.
The change to Little has worked. It's worked the oracle and given the Lightning the breakthrough they needed. The Knights were right on top. Georgeson falls for 31. A simple catch to Garth in the deep. 3 4s and 1 6 in that innings. A good knock from the left-hander. Going to bring Harry Tector to the crease at number 4. The Knights captain. The Lightning really needed that wicket, John, didn't they?
Yeah, they were just building a nice platform, and now that they've got Pretorius in there alongside Harry Tector, Tector will obviously be looking to push the 1s and the 2s maybe, and give Pretorius, who looks very good since his introduction, more of the strike perhaps. Pretorius pushed up the order today because Lawler is out injured. He's 20 years of age, Harry Tector, Irish international, part of that team that beat England in Southampton last year. Growing maturity for one so young. His brother Tim playing for the Lightning. Jack was part of the Lightning squad as well, but he hadn't been considered for this particular T20 series. The management actually wanted him to go away, work on his batting, get his head right, come back and contend for a place. And this is better from Little.
Yeah, Pretorius on strike, of course, because the batsman crossed, so Tector at the non-striker's end for the moment, but much better from Little. Really good comeback. So impressive in the Netherlands. Probably the most impressive player for Ireland, developing into a fine cricketer. I think we're going to see him around the world in the coming years, John, in T20 franchise leagues. The left-handed angle that he brings is something that's so in demand in the game. Bowling at a really good pace, 87, 88, 89 miles an hour in the Netherlands.
Tries to catch it. It was falling towards Tim Tector. Didn't quite reach him. But it was a very patchy display, obviously, from the Irish senior team against the Netherlands. You could pick out individual displays, but sadly you couldn't pick out a collective display. Ireland gone down to a very disappointing 2-1 defeat to an associate nation.
The Lightning have just flicked a switch from nowhere, John. 3 deliveries. It's changed the course of this innings. Wicket, ... You feel a real noticeable change. Little deciding now to come around the wicket. A change of angle for him. Pressure on Pretorius.
And just paddles it round the corner. Should be just the one. That's good feeling from JJ Garth. Good arm.
I wonder, with the 2 right-handers now at the crease, will we see the leg breaks of Garth the very next over? Will it just be 1 over of Dockrell? That's what I'd like to see. Get your young leg spinner into the game. Back him. New man at the crease. Pretorius not devastating so far. Just the 1 big hit off Singh from him. So get your leggy into the attack.
That's what Bowl Little. We considered he was thumped for 13. Particularly McCollum took great fancy to his bowling in the first over of the day. This is a very good comeback. a wicket and 3 dot balls, just a single from the 5 deliveries so far, and it's just pegged back that very good start that the Knights had.
Yeah, talking T20 cricket about one big over. One big over can change the game. You always think of that from a batting perspective. The one big over that goes for 20 or 25 changes the innings. But one big over from a bowling perspective can change the game as well. And that's what this over from Little is doing. A wicket, just 1 run from it. Can he get out of the over? Can he find another wicket, or can he find a dot?
He finds the dot, and he does the fielding off his own bowling as well. That's good stuff from Little. 13 off the first over, a wicket, and just the 1 run from his second, and it's just pegged back that great start from the Knights. They've lost their second wicket in that over at the end of 9 at 77 for 2. Tector yet to get off the mark. Ruan Pretorius in at number 3 on 21, and the Lightning fighting back in this game.
Brilliant over. One of the best we've seen in the festival so far. Day 2 of the festival. We've got 6 days of cricket in just 9 days. A real wealth of T20 to enjoy. But Josh Little outstanding there. It's the second day here in Dublin. We'll move up to the northwest next weekend. 3 days of cricket again, 6 games. We're not going to see the leg spin of JJ Garth just yet. George Dockrell will continue. Pretorius, he's got a base, he's just got to get going.
Dockrell saw him coming. Doesn't become a bad bowler overnight, George Dockrell. He's still obviously got to work on this. Obviously he has changed the emphasis of his cricket these days to be an all-rounder, and a more consistent all-rounder, especially with the bat. Down the track they come, a bit of a false stroke, try to pump that into the offside, and well, they certainly won't take on the arm of Andy McBride. Andy McBride is playing for another team, of course. He played for the Warriors, Andrew Balbirnie, and he's got a terrific arm, the Irish captain.
Yeah, I blacked out for a moment when you said Andy McBride there, John.
It's early.
It is early still. The morning time. This is good stuff from Dockrell though, John, isn't it? Putting the pressure on to Pretorius and Tector. The Lightning just always seem to find a way, don't they? Under pressure to start with.
That's the reason why they're champions 6 times in the last 8. They have a very good squad, we know that. It's out to Garth in the deep, and he misfields it, takes his eye off it completely, and allows the batsmen to run through for a 2 anyway. Yeah,
interesting cry from the deep, from the very far side of the field, not from the Leinster Lightning captain George Dockrell, but from the Irish captain Andrew Balbirnie. The scream was, "Come on, that is not good enough," from Garth.
Yeah, absolutely right. You've applied the pressure, you've taken the couple of wickets, you've stymied the runs. They were flowing at the early part up to that 7th over, and you just can't let them back in, especially this form of the game. You're right, one little slip or one over either for batting or either for bowling as well can change the whole course of the game, and a misfield out there like that just suggests just a little bit of sloppiness as well on Garth's point of view.
Really good bowling the last 2 deliveries from Dockrell. Not trying to turn the ball, not trying to bowl classical left arm orthodox, drift it in, turn it away. He's trying to cramp the batsman up.
Yeah, he's following him all the time, isn't he? Yeah. Good over. Got the treatment in the first one, 82 for 2. We're at the midway point, having been put into bat. Leinster winning the toss and asking the Northern Knights to bat. They went with the same side as the team that beat the Munster Reds yesterday. So Rory Anders has the man who is the 12th man for the Northern Knights, the one change with Josh Mashett in for the injured Jeremy Lawler, who was up the order. The 25-year-old from Carrickfergus went over on an ankle. According to Harry Tector, he has been replaced. So change of bowling. Josh Little having taken the wicket in the last over. David O'Halloran comes back from the commentary box, and we start the 11th over into the second part of this innings. Down the track comes Tector, shy of the stumps, and it takes the stumps out of the ground, and the umpire at this end determines that he was home. Ruan Pretorius running to this end, and he got home safely. Just about though.
Yeah, Alan Neal quick into position here, one of the two standing umpires alongside Rowley Black. Josh Little always known for having a bullet arm ever since he was a young kid. Quick to the ball, picked up cleanly, threw the leg stump down out of the ground. But I think, as we just look back on the replay on my screen, just home. Only just though, John.
Yeah. Alan Neal got into position quite quickly. That's a good shot back with a square. That's going to beat the fielder, is it? No. Well, Bernie does this sliding stop, and 2 to the total.
Yeah, we're at a critical juncture of the game here. Not just the innings, the entire match. The Knights a much better start, a stronger start today, going about 8 and over. What can they get up to? Is 150, 160 enough? I don't think it will be, John.
No,
I think they've got to look north to 180.
Yeah, absolutely. 170, 180 has got to be the target, because we saw the 140s, 150s yesterday, just not enough. And that's up in the air, and that's Dockrell underneath it, and does very well not to step on the boundary ropes and take the catch. And there goes the Knights captain. He didn't last long. Gone for 3.
And he's caught by the Leinster Lightning captain, and it's an outstanding catch. He's made this look really simple, John, and it wasn't easy. He's had to go backwards, position himself just in front of the rope, and not allow his momentum to carry himself over. A really good catch. Makes Harry Tector's stay at the crease a short one. 3 from 6 deliveries, couldn't get going. Cramped up by good bowling from Dockrell to start with. He knew they needed to press the accelerator, and he's perished looking for a maximum into the deep in the leg side. Really good stuff this from the Lightning. As you say, they are showing why they are champions, why they make themselves so hard to beat. They just keep finding a way. They haven't been at their best so far this morning. The third wicket has fallen. Perhaps the Lightning just getting themselves on top.
Mark Adair didn't last long yesterday, just 2 deliveries, the Irish international. He's at number 5. That was a really good catch from Dockrell. We did say that part of the ground down at Cow Corner was the longest part of the ground. We did have Pretorius knocking one over the head of George Dockrell not so very long ago, but this time set himself very well just inside the boundary ropes. Took the catch, and just for 1 second just had a little look behind him to make sure that he didn't step on the boundary ropes. And a very good catch from the Lightning captain. Bowled a very good over previous to O'Halloran's, and now takes a very good catch in the deep. And his great start from the Knights has been knocked on the head, really. 85 for 3, and they were 37 for 1. Then there was 76 for 2, and the third wicket goes down with the score at 85 in the 11th over. Yeah, they're going to run through in the midfield. A little sloppy in the field there. You wouldn't expect that from George Dockrell, having taken that great catch.
In fairness, this one has really risen on him, John. It's just popped. It's the rugby side of the ground, known historically as the minefield amongst Pembroke club members. It's much flatter and much better these days. Not a huge amount of rugby played, of course, during the winter, but it did just rise quite sharply and viciously on him. I think he's done well to even get it. I think it's the shoulder he got in the way, but they do get through for a single. Adair off the mark.
Yeah, you'll be happy with that. That's good fielding. That's going to prevent the 4. They run through for a couple. Is it Barry McCarthy down there?
It is indeed. The second brilliant stop from him in the innings. The first one was across to his right down at third man. This time at fine leg. Look at the ground he makes here, John. 15, 20 yards across to his left. Diving with reverse cupped hands. Cuts off the boundary. Saves 2 runs for his team.
That's a wild swing and a big, thick outside edge, and it runs all the way for a welcome boundary for the Knights. They'll be happy to get the scoreboard ticking over now. 6 runs off the last 2 deliveries. They just had a wild swipe at this. There was nobody in it for a slip, and whack, away it goes down to the boundary ropes.
He's looking to go over extra cover, John. He's given himself the room outside leg stump to hit it high and handsome into the deep, but he doesn't do that. Doesn't look to me like Pretorius has a natural 6 hitting game. He's much more of a conventional player, so when he tries to overhit like that, he just loses his shape a touch. But for the Knights fans, they're not going to worry about how the runs come. It's just the fact that they're at least trying to hit the boundaries, which it felt like they really weren't yesterday. So the aggression has yielded a boundary not in the way that they would have wanted. George Dockrell still going to hold his leg spinner back. Are we even going to see JJ Garth today?
Yeah, that's his decision. 92 for 3 at the end of 11. Dockrell went for 10 in his first over, and much more miserly in his second one. And chase the batters all around their crease in the last over. Bowled extremely well. There's another good one. Dockrell back on the money. He got some of the treatment yesterday and didn't start so well this morning, but that's a good comeback from the Leinster Lightning captain. Another dot ball. Just increases the pressure.
John, that is beautifully bowled. Wide of the crease, angling in, and a little bit like Graham Kennedy yesterday, who had Mark Adair on toast in the course of 2 deliveries. George Dockrell doing the exact same. Adair prefers pace on the ball. Doesn't necessarily like the spinners that much.
Should just be the single. Andy Balbirnie again with the fielding at deep mid-wicket. They'll be happy enough to get off strike and leave it to Pretorius.
Just 4 runs from Dockrell's last 9 deliveries, having a big effect on these middle overs.
Down the leg side and out. That's a nice smart catch. And Dockrell, who, as I said, didn't start so well, picked it up in the second over, and in his third he gets his reward.
That's not just a smart catch, John. This is unbelievable. What a take down the leg side from Lorcan Tucker. He's clung on after the deflection from Pretorius, who I think is looking down at the handle of his bat. I wonder, has that come off the shoulder, maybe a little bit of the glove? A definite deflection though, and a really good decision from Rowley Black. Dockrell knew, Lorcan Tucker knew as well, and that's a big wicket. Pretorius falls for 31 from 25 deliveries, and that's really good, deserved reward for George Dockrell. What a comeback after being pumped for a 6 from just his second delivery. His last 10 have gone for 4 runs, and he's now got the wicket.
Yeah, 93 for 4 now. 76 for 1 at one stage, now 93 for 4 in the 12th over. And Dockrell's producing some good figures after that opening over. Went for 10. And he's got himself his man. A really good take, as you say, from the Irish number 1 wicketkeeper Lorcan Tucker down the leg side, which brings 20-year-old rush player Neil Rock to the crease.
Yeah, I think the reason they'll probably have gone Rock here at 6 is the left arm spin of Dockrell. Get the left-hander in and allow him to try and access the leg side with the ball turning in. I'm delighted for George Dockrell, John, and I'll tell you why. So often as a captain, he's almost too selfless. He doesn't back himself enough, doesn't give himself the extra over, doesn't give himself the additional chance.
Well, you were urging JJ Garth to come on and take over from him, I should say, from the first over. But he's backed himself, and I think he's done the right job, and obviously it's paid off. Yeah,
those last 2 overs costing just 5 runs and taking a critical wicket. They've changed the game. But Dockrell often under-bowling himself, particularly last season during the IP20 in what was a strange year, a COVID year. But look at that, bouncing back to form with the ball. 3 overs, 1 for 15. He'll probably bowl his 4th now as well. I would still love to see JJ Garth, John, don't get me wrong. But they're going to go to the tried and tested, the formula of Simi Singh. So economical in all formats. 2 overs, none for 20 today. So these 2 final overs of his spell are going to be important as well. 93 for 4 now after 12, John.
Yeah, well, if it's not broken, why try and fix it? O'Halloran bowled the previous over from the commentary box end. It's going to be Simi Singh, Irish international, whipped away to Dockrell, who's very much involved in this game, and he's got a terrific arm. Look at that. From the longest part of the ground, Tucker comes and takes it. That didn't bounce into the keeper either. Mark Adair trying to build some kind of innings here. Just lasted 2 deliveries before he was castled yesterday. Could do it a few runs, Mark Adair. He's had ankle reconstruction surgery in the last year. Lost a lot of weight. Back in the Irish setup now as well. You know, he's a man who can bat. One of the leading bowlers in the Irish international team. Change in the field, just pushing Balbirnie behind square on the leg side, down on that mid-wicket boundary. Just inching their way towards the 3 figures, and I say inching because they were ploughing their way towards that in the last couple of overs, but they've been certainly pegged back now, the 2 new batters at the crease.
Yeah, been pegged back in a big way. A run rate down beneath 8 and over for the first time. That one is a leg break, John. The change in action you can see turning away from Adair. I think Adair picked it, but he just couldn't get it away. Seen Singh work on those leg breaks, the wrist coming over the delivery rather than behind it like an off spinner.
Yeah, he hides the ball really well, doesn't he? Been scrambled to for a second. O'Hanlon does the fielding. Down at fine leg, 2 to the total.
Back-to-back leg breaks. Really good bowling from Simi Singh, mixing things up. I think the reason he's doing that, we know the power that Adair possesses with the bat, and he loves hitting into the leg side, so he wants to turn the ball away from the right-hander.
Aiming at leg 2, just tucking Adair up. Manages to work that into the leg side for a single.
And that's the mystery spin of Simi Singh, that one flatter and out of the front of the hands, so just a conventional, almost a seam up delivery. I'd say it was probably bowled cross seam though, and the reason he's spearing it into the pads, not giving Mark Adair any freedom to get his arms, get his power into the game. Good bowling this from Simi Singh.
Final ball then of this, the 13th over, will yield a single. Thanks for the moment, Andrew Leonard. And it will be Alan Lewis to step in for the last 7 overs of this, the Northern Knights innings. Just one shy of their 3 figures, 99 for 4. And George Dockrell is going to complete Alan Lewis his 4th and final over. Got a bit of treatment in the first over, went for 10, but since then has taken a wicket and 1 for 15 from his 3 overs since. A good comeback from him.
Well, he's been excellent. Again, in any of these, I'm not necessarily thinking his first over was particularly bad one, but the way he's come back, I'd say it'll have heartened a few, because obviously his form with the bat has just been stellar throughout this season, but people tend to forget his record with the ball. Went through in a different spell, that type of drag down delivery like that, John, that is possibly the Achilles heel. Just hold his action. So much of bowling, John, is rhythm, and sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't, but when you have it, it's precious, and particularly for a slow bowler.
100 up. With that previous delivery, as Doctor comes around the wicket to the right-hander Adair. And we're in the 14th over now, and after a good start, there's a very good shot as well from Adair, up and over the bowler's head for the maximum, and a very welcome maximum too, and Adair will be happy to get himself now into double figures.
Well, he wasn't quite there for this, but he extended and went right through with the shot, which is the right thing to do, and again a veil of the shorter straight boundaries here at Pembroke.
That's put away into the leg side. Well, Bernie does the chasing down there. Well, they're thinking about a second one, but they won't take on the Irish captain's arm. Neil Rock suggesting to Adair they might go for the second, but Adair was quickly back in his crease.
It's kind of stuttered a wee bit, John, here from the Knights. Loss of 4 wickets after a very good beginning, but the foundation is there for a half-decent total now. Neil Rock in.
That's sloppy.
Very difficulty, and that's gone for 4.
1 or 2 moments in the field from Leinster Lightning, which won't please their captain, particularly now that he's bowling as well. He's spoiling his figures. I think it's Barry McCarthy, goes through his hands. Should have been an easy pickup, and just bounce off his chest and away for 4 runs.
Well, it is tricky down there, and Barry's had some fantastic stops in the match so far. But as you'd say, he would have been disappointed with that. The end of the 14th with the Northern Knights, 111 for the loss of 4 wickets. So 36 deliveries left, John. What do you reckon they'll be thinking of?
I was going to ask you the same question.
Okay. 160?
Yeah, 160, 170. Well, between 60 and 170.
Yeah.
If they can push on towards that, we'll give them something to bowl to. As the chimes of the church behind us ring out to announce 12 noon here in Dublin. 14 overs down in this first game of 2 today. 2 games yesterday, which were quite comprehensive wins in the end for the Warriors and the Leinster Lightning, who will meet tomorrow. You've got the Munster Reds against the Warriors a little later on today at 4 o'clock. Big pity that we don't have Paul Sterling here for the Knights, but he will be back for the next T20 festival in Breedy next week. I'm hearing he's at the Blast, smacking it around the park for Middlesex at the moment.
Certainly, as you say, John, and that's swatted away in the leg side, and it's pierced the gap between Josh Little and George Dockrell there. A bit of a slug if you really look at it, and fortuitous to hit the gap, but it's 4.
They'll take it.
They certainly will, John. And again, it's often so important to get a boundary off the first delivery of an over. You're always on the back foot.
That's in the air. Kevin O'Brien is underneath it, and we can hear a loud shout of mind. And Buckets, as they call him, catches that very easily. That's his second steepling catch that he's taken. The rest of us mere mortals underneath that would have been fumbling it, but that one, nice take in the end from Kevin O'Brien. High steepling ball from Adair, and he perishes on 17 with the score at 115 for 5 now.
Well, for any youngsters watching there, Kevin O'Brien made that look easy, and obviously at this level it is a relatively easy catch, but he made the ground quickly, steadied himself, got the hands in a great position, and made it look very comfortable. And for anyone young out there, that ball coming down over your eyes, he did it the traditional way, not the Australian way, hands above, but a great pair of hands. Buckets, as I'm told by Andrew Leonard, he must be in the back garden cricket with the demolition squad, as they were called in our day. He'd arrived down, and the plethora of O'Briens were in front of the Railway Union Pavilion. A couple of fights, a couple of tantrums. You wouldn't need to know too much who the tantrums were led by. But
he retired before his brother. Is who you're trying to tell me?
And his name wasn't Paul either. Or Jer.
Good morning, Nobby, if you're watching in. Batsman did cross, so it's Neil Rock who's facing. New batsman is John Matchett. He's the one replacement today for the injured Jeremy Lawler, with the score on 115 for 5. And Singh continues around the wicket, full toss. Got away with one there. Just the single to Neil Rock.
Neil Rock would have possibly been looking to get more purchase than a single there, maybe opening the face of the blade. Certainly pushing Josh Little to left or right. Simi Singh doesn't bowl too many of those, John. Been ever consistent both in the blue jersey of the Leinster Lightning and the green jersey of Ireland.
Big appeal, and they've got to run through for the single.
And a leg
it's a leg by indeed, yes. Sorry, Alan.
Probably hit him outside the line and going on too. We'll see, indeed, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, we're getting through the overs very quickly here, and we've just passed midday here, so we're into the 15th over. So they're whizzing through it, especially when we've seen 2 spin bowlers in tandem. Haven't seen the quickies now for a while. Josh Little, Barry McCarthy, David O'Halloran. It's been Singh and Dockrell.
Collected by Tim Tector there. Easy single for Neil Rock. Simi Singh looked to get around. Good finish from Simi Singh. In the end, seeing the end of Mark Adair, and a tidy spell of bowling from him as the Knights progress. 118 for 5. 5 to go, John. 30 deliveries. This is normally when we start doing the sweeps around the boundary. what will be the exact total the Knights will get. See, can you win a few bob? So Neil Rock 9 from 10. They'd probably be happier if that wickets equation was reading a little bit. Keep going here. They're going to have to try and keep striking. It's quite funny, actually. Obviously, JJ Garth in the news today, doing most of the slow bowling. It was heartening to see George Dockrell with the ball. Obviously been Josh Little now to come from the St John's Road end.
Yeah, Dockrell's finished the spell, 4 overs, no maidens, 1 for 27. And so it's going to be Little to continue switching ends, 1 for 14, very expensive in his opening over, went for 13 but took a wicket and just a solitary single in the second. And Neil Rock in the air, and is that Dockrell down there? I think it is. Yeah, it is Dockrell who, well, prevents the 6, pushes it back. He thought he was going to go over the boundary ropes.
Well, in actual fact, what he's doing is
given
very
the 6.
sportingly, he's given the 6. A fantastic piece of work at outset, but maybe he just felt, yes, indeed, he was over the line, and that's just the nature of the man. Obviously, we've got our TV cameras here, John, but he was cautious, or certainly he was, maybe that's the wrong word for it, but he was in doubt and quite graciously signalled 6. So, for Neil Rock, certainly heartening.
He was in the right position there, Dockrell. Just stepped over the ropes and he felt that he had the ball in his hand. He tried to push it back into play to prevent the 6. And Dockrell's going to do some more fielding down there. Well, he can't cut that off. So, that's a wicket, in fact.
'Tis a wicket, half cuffed really by Neil Rock. There was no real commitment to that shot, which is one of the things, he's a very good manoeuvrer of slow bowling, and I think probably a part of his game which he will have to look to improve on is anything that is above medium pace. He's got to really show a bit more initiative if he can, because he's a high quality player, Neil Rock, but he's a young man, and hopefully from both a Northern Knights perspective and more an Irish perspective, if he can develop that side of his game. We can see the Manhattan there. It's been a mixture. Obviously we can see there at the beginning a very good start for the Northern Knights, but again, like yesterday, they've lost wickets at regular intervals, John. Kind of just stalls progress. Any sort of build of a partnership here.
Well, there were 76 for 1 at one point, now 124 for 6. And I was actually looking at George Dockrell there as he was running down. I thought to cut off the 4, but right beside him, Barry McCarthy was taking the catch. So 2 new batsmen at the crease now, and we're in the latter stages of the Northern Knights innings, and they're in a little pickle here, trying to build a decent total against this very strong and international laden Lightning squad. Little continues. A good take by Tucker. Had to move strongly to his left hand side to take that.
Did well there, Logan Tucker. Moved swiftly to his left. Shortish delivery from Josh Little, who's warm to the task here, as you say, John, after a fairly mediocre first over. He's fought back well here, Josh Little, showing his true international class. Vast swathes of improvement, greater level of fitness.
Well, that's a good stop by O'Halloran. It's coming at him fast, but got a good strong hands behind it.
Kevin O'Brien pinpointing that I moved him to exactly the right position, as he didn't have to move. He collected at one bounce.
Makes the odd little suggestion out there to captains, doesn't he, Kevin?
Thought he was very good early on, actually, with David O'Halloran. Just sometimes you don't really have to say a huge amount, just slow the pace of the game down a wee bit. Could be talking about nothing, but I'm sure he was giving him good advice. They brought third man into the circle and made him think a bit. But David O'Halloran's done extremely well since he's come into this Lightning fold.
Yeah, and 2 wickets for O'Halloran today. That's a good over from Little. Bit of pace about that last ball as well. Giving a new batsman Rossiter no chance to get bat on ball there, and that ends the 16th, 125 for 6. And they're really stumbling their way towards a total now.
Well, it's a funny one with Rossiter because in his club cricket opens the batting and has been ferocious in his stroke play with strike rates of anything between 180 and 200. But down at 8 in this Northern Knights team, for whatever reason, John. Luke Georgeson, of course, and James McCollum taking things away. James McCollum being particularly belligerent early on. But as you say, they've stuttered in these middle overs. No real fluidity.
Well, Halloran's been just a little expensive in his 3 overs, gone for 30, but he has taken 2 wickets. McCollum, who was looking dangerous early on, caught by Kevin O'Brien for 25. It was his first victim. And then he got Harry Tector brilliantly caught in the boundary by George Dockrell when he was only on 3. This is a good response by the Lightning. Looked like the Northern Knights were set for a target of close to maybe 180. That's a good shot. Right in the slot, but straight and up and over the bowler's head. And a welcome maximum for the Knights.
Yeah, lovely shot. Stayed in great shape. Of course, mid-on in the circle. It was the area to hit if he was going. A bit of a floaty half volley this, but Johnny Matchett stayed with it and that went flat over long on for 6. And that's gone even further. Short ball from O'Halloran, and that has been latched upon by Matchett. Great shot. Got again into a super position. And again, what tends to happen in these sorts of situations, John, David O'Halloran, inexperienced. George Dockrell coming over now to have a word. But it was as if Johnny Matchett had lined him up there, John. He nearly, just see where he went. He shuffled himself over offside, anticipating a shorter delivery. Now there's a mid-wicket conference. O'Halloran has the teapot. George Dockrell's run in from deep mid-wicket. Josh Little's run in to lend his weight to proceedings. Kevin O'Brien still lurking around.
Yeah, Simi Singh getting involved too. The experienced 30-year-old from the Punjab, now playing his cricket for Ireland and Leinster Lightning.
And YMCA, John.
And YM, of course. Very much involved in the structures down there. Tim Tector with the fielding. This is a good over from the Knights' point of view. A couple of big heaves to get them to match it to 12, and then he just take a quick single there to put the score on to 138 for 6 now in the 17th over. As they push to get beyond that 150 at least. Should be capable of getting well beyond that. Matches on 14. Rossiter still to get off the mark. I did say O'Halloran has been expensive, and that's continued, although he has taken those 2 wickets. Push and run. O'Halloran tries it at the bowler's end, but loops over the top of the stumps and they're home safely.
Yes, he has been expensive today, but that's the nature sometimes of T20 cricket. Had a good day at the office yesterday. As you say, a little bit more expensive today, but again, David would be something of a late developer. Certainly remember him 3 or 4 years ago. He was tall-ish, bean Polish, but he's turned himself into a very strong young boy, grown enormously. Must be 6'4", 6'5", playing his club cricket for Malahide, where he went as a youngster.
part of the Irish Cricket Academy. 22 years of age now, David O'Halloran. That's a good stop on the boundary. They're going to come back for the second run, though. This is an expensive over, and the Knights will welcome this.
Fantastic piece of work out there at deep backward square by J.J. Garth, who's feeling it. I'd say he's worn a bit of a grass burn down there, but he saved his side 2 runs. Fantastic piece of work from him.
Yeah, 1 or 2 sloppy moments in the field from the Lightning, but that certainly wasn't it. And that ends the 17th, 141 for 6. Match particularly brutal of O'Halloran in that particular over. And we're going to get a change of bowling now at the St John's end. Barry McCarthy is going to come back on, and there's the Northern Knights scorebook so far.
Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag. Very good start from McCollum and Georgeson. For those who are just joining us right now, a wee stutter in the middle and a little bit of a minor push and explosion over the last 2 overs. Matchett in particular doing a good job for his team, because it's needed, because certainly a score in the region of 160, 170 is going to be probably required here. Strange delivery that, John.
Now the leg side for a wide as well.
Attempted slower ball out of the back of the hand. Sometimes that can have mixed effects, but it's a run to the total and an extra delivery, which of course is something that's not necessarily required.
.35 per over is their run rate so far. That's better by McCarthy. And McCarthy shy at the stumps as Matchett was outside his crease. He got the call, but I think Matchett was home safely enough.
Yeah, often when you're the batter there, you get a nick onto your pad, you're not sure where the ball has gone, you create that seed of doubt, but it's no run. Well retrieved by McCarthy there.
I think he got something on that, just took the sting out of it. McCarthy played for Durham for a while. Worked hard at his cricket. He was in and out of the Irish squad over the last couple of years. Now back in. He really has had to work hard to get back in again, but there's none more dedicated than Barry McCarthy.
Certainly not. He's had his fair share of injuries, and as you say, in and out of the side, which can sometimes create its own doubts.
Problem for McCarthy over the years is that he was he'd give away a lot of runs. He was a wicket taker, certainly, but he was giving away a lot of runs, and that was just denting his confidence. So he's gone away and really has worked on his action, and even though the runs seem to have dried up a little bit, which is good from his point of view, he's still a wicket taker, and still very much part of Graham Ford's Irish setup.
Well, I'll have them any day of the week, John. Love wicket takers, and Barry has been one of those for Ireland. Yes, perhaps a shade expensive at times, but
he has leg by.
Indeed.
.145 for 6 in the 18th over, coming towards the end of the Northern Knights innings, who were put into bat having lost the toss this morning. Unchanged Leinster Lightning lineup. John Matchett they're batting at the moment. The one change for the Knights, in for the injured Jeremy Lawler.
Could be a wide. No. Judged not over head high, but it's the one for the over.
Roddy Backer, umpire at that far end. At this late stage of the innings, that marginal. Could have been called a wide, but he got the benefit of the doubt. Last ball then of this, the 18th over. 145 for 6. And the little ramp shot, and that's gone maximum. Yeah, just over the ropes in front of us by about 2 or 3 feet, and that's a nice shot to end the over and take the Knights to 150. And it's a lovely shot and premeditated as well.
Wow, great connection. It was full, and again that helps. And with the pace on the ball, anything near the middle of the bat, but it just crept its way over the boundary for a welcome Dorothy Dix.
A what?
A Dorothy Dix. That's another one I picked up from that fellow we were speaking about a bit earlier that we've done commentary with before. I thought, that's good. I like that.
Dorothy Dix,
Dorothy Dix
Nice.
is 6. So 12 balls remaining, John. 151 for 6.
Well, you can see there on that on your screen there, David O'Halloran, a very expensive spell, 4 overs, 2 for 46. Very important wickets, obviously, and getting rid of the dangerous McCollum early on, and also Harry Tector, the Knights captain, but he got the treatment in the last couple of overs. So change of ends again for Little. Having bowled 2 overs from this end and 1 from the St John's end, he's back to the commentary box end again for his final over, the 19th. Start of the 19th, 151 for 6, match it on 23. Rossadair on 2.
So Rossadair half clubbing that leg side. No real timing. Key man here now for the Knights, Johnny Matchett. Played a little cameo here. 23 from 12 deliveries. He's done very well.
Well, we had a between innings chat yesterday, myself and Andrew Leonard. Well, Andrew will be joined at the mid-session interval after the conclusion of the night's innings by the Cricket Ireland Performance Director Richard Hollingsworth to answer the questions. If you've got any questions for him, you can get in contact with us via our Twitter handle, which is @CricketIreland. That's @CricketIreland. Any questions for our Performance Director Richard Hollingsworth? He'll be talking to Andrew Leonard at the end of the night's innings as Little continues around the wicket.
Ooh, there was a bit more extra in that from Josh Little. And again, Johnny Matchett moving around the crease a wee bit. But this has been good from Josh Little. After a sloppy first over, it would have to be said, the comeback over the last 3 overs. And he's really turning into Ireland's premier bowler at the death. Has great varieties. Josh Little. And again, looks, watches, bowls those wide-ish deliveries, and he has that wrist action where he can nearly delay what he's doing, watch what the batsman's doing. And again, Johnny Matchett is probably in a little bit of 6s and 7s here. We've 4 deliveries. We've had a leg by for the penultimate over. Not really what the Northern Knights need.
Yeah, that ball wasn't for ramping, it was leaving him all the time. He's got to get bat on ball, and he's not going to do that now because that's a terrific delivery and a great comeback from Josh Little, who was taken to the cleaners really in the first over by James McCollum. But what a comeback from Ireland's number 1 bowler, left-hander, and he's got rid of Matchett for 23, and it's now 152 for 7 in the 19th.
And the customary aeroplane, which is now his go-to theme when he takes a wicket. Can get quite animated at times, Josh Little. Always has a bit to say. I remember that England game he gave Johnny Bairstow the send-off. And brings a nice wee bit of aggression to what he does and has vastly improved. Got himself into great shape and is bowling with great rhythm.
David Delaney, the new batsman. Little cameo yesterday, David Delaney, in the latter part of the Knights' innings in their defeat to the Warriors. That's 3 wickets so far for Josh Little. Georgeson, the opener, gone for 31. He's also got rid of Neil Rock for 15 and now Matchett bowled for 23. Delaney in at number 9, but the score 152 for 7. They added 28 runs, that previous pair. And it's down the leg side, and it's going all the way for 4. Just a little tickle around the corner from David Delaney, and 4 welcome runs.
Well, you can see Josh Little disappointed with that finish. Obviously, leg buys more the direction than anything else, and he's frustrated with that finish, more for his team, not necessarily his own analysis.
Yeah, I think it actually gave that runs.
Did he feel he got a nick on it?
He got a nick.
Indeed, I see that.
Just tickled around the corner.
DCA Delaney, 4 off 1 delivery. So 156. We talked about 160, potential 170. Let's see what Rossiter can do on strike now. The last 6 deliveries of the night's innings.
None for 22 from McCarthy so far. And it's gone through Grassy, and that's gone for 4.
That's a very poor piece of fielding from Jamie Grassy. Really didn't commit at all. Sits looking at the turf, but needed to stay on his feet there and just gather the ball. That's what we call Sydney Harbour Bridge, John.
You've got all the sayings, all the isms. Dorothy Dix, Sydney Harbour Bridge. 160 for 7. 5 deliveries to come. He'll be singing My Old Man to Dustman next, is it?
Oh, no.
Who wears the Dustman's hat?
No tunes just yet. No tunes just yet.
Who wears cold blimey trousers and he lives in a council flat. That's all of that, isn't it? Lonnie Donegan sang that.
Good
Lonnie Donegan.
You've got me there, John.
Skiffle band.
You've got me
Old
there.
DJs never die. That's
You've
the thing.
got me
Old
there.
DJs never die.
Well, of course. That's where our HBV Studios MD started. DJ Dance to the Beat, to the Magic Heat.
I was up there in the studios not so very long ago. Very impressed with his 7-inch collection. That's a big high hit, and that's gone for 6 as well. Very welcome ones too. And smartly caught down there by, I'm not sure who that is, but it's a spectator down there. High steepling catch, and that's a maximum to take the score to 166.
That was huge. That was a great shot from Rossiter. Great position. And he just extended the arms. And, of course, very powerful man. Rossiter, that's a great shot. Beautifully caught by whoever was catching it down there too, I have to say, John.
It was beautifully caught because they were sitting in their seats as the ball came down towards them. They're going to run through for 2 here. Simi Singh doing the fielding down there. That's 8 from the last 2 deliveries. And a good finish to their innings. If they get past the 170, psychological figure here.
Yeah, they'll be delighted if they can get to that. And it's potentially on now. There's no doubt about that, John. 168 for 7. 2 deliveries remaining. We might have a wee bit of a closer contest today. That's good bowling from McCarthy.
Well, they're going to come back for the second, testing the arm. And bowler's end too. That's good running. Josh Little down there doing the fielding. But immediately the Delaney saw the ball was trundling towards Little. He took on his arm and got through quickly for the second run to take him to that 170.
Well, very good that from David Delaney. Went so quickly in running that first one. And obviously for Rossiter the risk was there, but to get him back on strike was very, very important. So the last delivery of the innings.
Dare makes room and gets it past Grassy. And that's going to go all the way to the boundary. Grassy's despairing dive. Can't cut that off. So 174 for 7. 21 welcome runs at the end of the innings. Rossiter. Delaney just faced the 1 delivery. Nicked it around the corner for 4. Another 4, which is very welcome from their point of view. So not a bad finish for the Knights. And something to work with now when they come into bowl.
A very good finish, John, from the Northern Knights. That last over going for 17, I think, from Barry McCarthy. And a sloppy finish in the end. Last 7 deliveries going for 21, and that's a formidable total, 174 for 7. And again, I just sensed throughout there was an element of sloppiness from the Lightning. That period in the middle of the innings when the Knights kind of lost that wee bit of direction, but they had a good start, they've had an excellent finish. And the sense here is that will be a challenging total. 174 for 7 at the end of the 20th over. 20 overs, should I say. And there's the batting card, John.
Yeah, McConnell the first to go for 25. Georgeson chipped in with a 31. Pretorius also 31 from 25 deliveries. And towards the end, good hitting from Matchett before he lost his wickets to Little. And a 22-run partnership between Ross Adair and David Delaney, taking them to 174 for 7. Here's some of the partnerships. A good opening partnership. And a little cameo at the end there between Delaney and Adair, taking them past that 170 mark.
Absolutely. And here's the Leinster Lightning bowling figures. Josh Little at the top. Perhaps the most impressive after a difficult beginning with 3 for 26. And George Dockrell back with his 4 overs for 27. A mixture with the 2 most expensive really being McCarthy and O'Halloran. O'Halloran struggled today, and bar a poorish last over from McCarthy, but his 4 overs went for 40. So a bit of a mixed bag from the Leinster Lightning. Fielding at times good, other times sloppy. So in terms of conclusion, at the halfway stage, the Leinster Lightning will require 175 to win from their 20 overs.
Well, in a few moments' time, I'll be off to teach my old man's dustman to Alan Lewis to add to his expansive Cockney rhyming slang repertoire. We will have very shortly our mid-session interval break and a chat between Andrew Leonard and Richard Holsworth. So, the 175 required for victory very shortly, as the Leinster Lightning will take the field in response to the 174 for 7. Let's join Andrew Leonard.
Yeah, thank you, John. And these mid-interval chats, we're going to have a guest for the first time today. Joining me, Andrew Leonard here. To my right is Richard Holsworth, the Cricket Ireland Performance Director. Fantastic to have his thoughts over the next 15 minutes or so. We've got an awful lot to talk about, and I'm going to put him a little bit in the hot seat. The sun is out, and we're here for not just a fireside chat, but a sunshine chat. Rich, fantastic. Before we get into anything, great facilities here at Pembroke. Great to have the first of these 3 festivals, the T20 festivals, underway, and the weather's playing ball as well.
Yeah, look, wonderful to see, Andrew. And look, it's a great venue, Pembroke, for these types of festivals. They've done it very successfully the last couple of years, and that continues. Pitch in the ground looking fantastic, and a really good sort of pitch and ground for this format. Lose a few balls along the way, but I think it's exciting cricket. We've obviously seen that yesterday and again this morning.
I can assure you, not as many lost balls here as there were in the Mardyke on Tuesday. 6 is being smashed all over the ground in the IP20. Going to be asking Richard Holsworth all about the progress of the men's and women's teams, and where we stand, the state of play, particularly in the Men's Cricket World Cup Super League. You were there yourself in the Netherlands, in Utrecht. We can't sugarcoat it. It was a really disappointing tour.
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, I suppose we've had a lot of battles with the Netherlands over many years. We've lost plenty of games to them as well in World Cups as well. So the first thing was we certainly didn't underestimate how good they would be. They might have missing a couple of players. We were as well. I mean, we had Camphor out injured, but we had to go there and win at least 2 games. And obviously the ambition was to go and win all 3 games. The guys' preparation was as best it could be for the facilities we've got here and the cricket we had. We chucked a lot of the 50 over fixtures for the Interpros into May to try and give the players as much cricket as they possibly could. I think we should have won the first game. There were too many critical moments in the game that we played poorly. There were areas that we definitely can improve on, and you lose by 1 run, you're pretty gutted coming out of that. Second game, we turned it around massively, and I think showed difficult pitch to play on, but the guys came through and did well. The third game was extremely disappointed. We were flat. It was one of the worst fielding performances I've seen This side, I think, is a young side, athletic side, and their fielding has been improving a lot. But it was very flat that day.
Yeah, it felt flat, and I think that was echoed by all the Irish fans. You saw it right the way across social media. They're wondering what changed in the course of 3 days. There was even the extra day rest before the third ODI. A lot of people not happy with the fact, perhaps, that we decided not to bowl first again. We decided to bat first. We've ended up taking just 10 points from the 30, 9 games in. Is there anything you can pinpoint as to the reason of the failure there in the Netherlands? The wickets weren't good for cricket. They weren't a great advert for the game, but do you just feel the Dutch adapted better than we did?
Yeah, without a doubt, they did. It's not that we don't play on difficult wickets. The guys play a lot of club cricket here. I think the one thing that's very different for us now is they've got a lot of players playing county cricket. We've always had a lot of players playing county cricket. They play on very good surfaces. They train on very good surfaces day in, day out. We don't have that anymore. We have to stand aside from that and say, well, as we move towards full membership, we're trying to expand this program of Interpro cricket. We're trying to become more and more professional. We're trying to improve our facilities, but that's a slow process. So the guys have to be able to adapt to those situations, and they were slow to do that. I think there are some. As I talked about critical moments, we dropped a very important catch. The captain in the team talk straight afterwards said exactly that. I didn't do enough catching practice during the week. I was focusing too much on my batting. Things like that we need to improve. So there are lots of small bits, I think, that give a collective, and it's quite often the 1-2 percenters that combined lift the whole team. But I think the mental attitude going into that game was something that I hadn't seen in the first 2 games. It was very flat, and we need to be able to get up for those games. They're so important. Yeah,
they're critical fixtures, and that's what I want to ask you about. We're 9 games into 24, 8 series. Every side will play of 3 ODIs each. Ireland has played all 3 of their series so far away from home, picking up what I think would be an unexpected win in Southampton against the world champions. Critical 10 points there, not picking up any points out in Abu Dhabi against Afghanistan, and now just picking up 10 points against the Dutch. So that leaves us 20 from a possible 90. Can we still achieve automatic qualification? It's a huge summer ahead. Series against South Africa starting out in Dublin, and then Zimbabwe. Those 6 games are probably going to go a long way to deciding the fate in our finishing position.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's an uphill battle. To win enough games there to go through automatically is going to be very, very tough. We're going to have to play some extremely good cricket. As you say, we haven't played a game at home yet. We've got 2 massive series now coming up. There's no doubt South Africa will be tough. They're an extremely good side. So we have to target Zimbabwe, particularly. That's not to say that we can't get a win or 2 out of South Africa, but we're going to have to play a lot better cricket. And those critical moments are important, but we need to have an all-round performance. We need to really lift it. We need to be on our A game in all three disciplines. The Zimbabwe team we probably know a lot more about. We've played them a lot more, be it World Cup qualifiers, be it series with Zim home and away over the last 2-3 years. So we know it, and we absolutely have to target those.
Is there something that's going to be the remedy? You spoke about your disappointment there, particularly for the 3rd game. Is this maybe the kind of the low ebb, and it's time to rebuild this new young generation of players? How are you going to be able to turn it around, the leadership group between yourself as performance director, the head coach Graham Ford, and the skipper Andy Balbirnie?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've noticed over the last few months is that we've changed our structure around the Interpros. We've put in place performance coaching hubs for each of the provincial teams, and whilst that's been incredibly positive, there are some challenges with it. One of the challenges are that the national team, the national squad, doesn't train together. They now train individually in their hubs. So one of the things that we're going to be putting in place ahead of South Africa is a national team camp. So we'll have a 5-day camp ahead of the South Africa series, and we'll do the same again for Zimbabwe, so that we get the guys together, get them working together, talk through all of those issues, make sure that everyone's very, very clear about their role, actually get the camp going, get them united and get them practicing together, which we didn't have ahead of Netherlands.
And that camp will be in the location where the series is held. So for the South Africa series, it will be in the Dublin region, based on around Malahide?
Correct, yeah, that's it. Okay. And just bringing the guys together and starting to talk about their plans and how we're going to beat these guys, that's really important. You don't want to rush that process.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that's what happened a little bit with the Netherlands fixtures.
Yeah, we appreciate your honesty in that, and that's good to hear that there's going to be hopefully a remedy and hopefully a change in fortunes.
Not sure
for the national
we'll have to
team.
see whether it works or not. But look, it's we've sat down and looked at what are all the things that can go wrong. That's an opportunity to have that fielding practice. Okay, you're not going to turn a team around overnight, but you start to put some real focus on those things 4 or 5 days ahead of those matches. That's important.
Spoken about the importance of these fixtures, and I'd perhaps just like to explain to everyone at home. It's a 13-team league. 8 spots qualify automatically, so 8 automatic places go to India in 2023, getting those sides back onto the global stage, which Ireland missed out on in 2019. But there's an added jeopardy to this league. If you finish 13th and last in the league, not only do the bottom 5 sides in the league, so the sides finishing 9th to 13th, go to the Cricket World Cup qualifier, but if you finish 13th and bottom, you're in with a possible chance of relegation. That relegation would come about if you finish beneath the side that wins Cricket World Cup League 2, with the likes of USA, Nepal, Namibia, Oman, who are top of that league at the moment, Scotland, Papua New Guinea, etc. Richard, for us to avoid 13th place, forget about automatic qualification for a moment, that series against Zimbabwe couldn't be any more important.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's hard to know how many points you're going to need. We did a lot of calculations early on before the league started as to how many wins we thought we would need to get automatic qualification.
A lot of talk around 10 being the magic number.
Yeah,
perhaps.
10, 11 is what we came up with. We said 11 pretty much a dead cert. We think 10 maybe. To avoid relegation, as you say, or to avoid 13th place, that's obviously out of our control. We don't know how the Dutch are going to fare. We don't know how the other teams are going to fare. We can only control.
Sri Lanka in big trouble at the moment as well.
Sri Lanka are. They're very, very low down there. But we can only control our own destiny there. So we have to keep winning games. There's no doubt about it. If we can come out of that Zim series and the South Africa series with 3 wins, then that changes things. That then puts the pressure back on the Netherlands, Sri Lanka, 1 or 2 other teams who are sitting in that bottom 4. But the bottom line is we have to keep winning games. Yes, we'd love to get automatic qualification, but the eyes aren't really on that now. The eyes are on every single game in front of us. Yeah, we've talked long and hard about the format of this series now, or this competition now, being we don't have dead rubbers. We were 2-0 down against England, but the third game was critical, and there was a chance for us to win it, and we won it. So every game matters. Every game is a series in itself. So bottom line is we have to start winning some games.
It really is thrilling stuff. Ireland's remaining series 2 at home this summer. That's South Africa and Zimbabwe. That's really going to kick off the home action for the men's side this year. They're going to be absolutely fantastic series, and then we go away to the West Indies, the Caribbean in January. Maybe the COVID restrictions will be lifted. That could be a good place to go and support. And then 2 home series to round out the competition for Ireland against Bangladesh and New Zealand. They'll both be very important. I think that's enough of the ODI cricket for the moment. It's the T20 festival here we're covering. It's been a good start, but the one thing that everyone keeps talking about, the Northwest Warriors yesterday, outstanding.
Well, it was wonderful to see, wasn't it? I'm very pleased for the Northwest and for Gary Wilson in particular, the new coach. He's really tried to turn things around. I've been really impressed with the attitude of the players. It's been great to see 1 or 2 players who perhaps had fallen out of favour or fallen away from being interested in playing for the Northwest Warriors and even Ireland. And now I think there's an energy and excitement around the team. I know they've been training incredibly hard. And Gary and his counterparts there have been trying to find a way. Great to have William Porterfield on board, both still trying to play as a top level player and try and play for Ireland as well.
Superb 100 on Tuesday.
Well, absolutely, he did. He played extremely well there, and we know he can do that. Certainly at this level, there's no doubt he can do that. But I think his energy in helping Gary, helping the guys with the fielding, just giving them all an appetite to want to play for the Warriors, to want to play for Ireland, that showed yesterday hugely. I think the other thing is that what Gary's instilled them is some flair to say, let's play exciting brand of cricket. Let's not be fearful about losing our wicket. Let's go out and express ourselves. And they did it, didn't they?
Well, I was going to ask you exactly that. Is that the template that we may see the Irish side take into T20 cricket going forward? It's that, you talk about someone who's a former teammate of theirs, Owen Morgan. He's brought that brand of cricket to England. He's Irish born and bred. He's now obviously been with England for the best part of, I think, more than a decade. But the way that they are playing with freedom, they don't mind living by the sword and dying by the sword. Are we going to see the Irish side start to do that in the build-up to the T20 World Cup later in the year?
Yeah, I hope so. Obviously that's one for Graham and the team management to look at, and Andrew Balbirnie. But I think that this is our step down from international cricket. This is our product that the best players are playing and are arguably going to be selected from. And I think the selectors, talking to Andrew White earlier this morning, the selectors are going to be very much looking at those players who say, well, I can play without fear. I can go out and express myself. I'm not frightened to do so. Have they then got the skills to back that up? And those are the guys that should be putting their hands up and say, this T20 squad for the World Cup is certainly a long way from being picked. These 9 games, we've obviously had 2.5 now, but next week in the Northwest, and then we finish up in the NCU for the last one in September. Those games are critical for people to put their hands up and show that they can do that.
Yeah, 48 players, in fact, with 13-man squads, 52 players, and those missing out, Gareth Delaney will hopefully get himself fit again, Curtis Campher as well, Paul Sterling will come back in from Middlesex. I think the fans up in the Northwest are going to be excited to see that dynamic power hitting. He was at it again last night for Middlesex. Phenomenal cricketer.
Yeah, and I think it's as much as Paul bringing that standard into this competition, as much for our bowlers to understand how to bowl to him, because they're going to come across players like Paul in the World Cup. We'll see that when we play South Africa in a few weeks' time in the T20s and against Zimbabwe. That's how they play. So we've got to learn how to bowl and how to come up with plans to mitigate against massive scores that we might have to chase.
We're seeing with the evolution of T20 cricket a big difference between the formats, between 50 over ODI cricket and then the T20 game, whether it be here at interprovincial level or the T20Is. Is it difficult to balance the focus solely on white ball cricket at the moment, but almost trying to find and discover who your T20 team is going to be for the World Cup with the importance of those ODI games that we were talking about earlier in the chat?
Yeah, it's difficult when you've got a smaller pool of players, which obviously we do have. So quite often you're looking at the same players, but maybe giving them slightly different roles. So you're right. Yeah, that is part of it. But I think that's where the Wolves programme, this programme, any player that can go and play for a county or a franchise and get some experience in T20, that's been a tough one for us. Paul is probably the only player, Kevin, to a certain extent, that's managed to get experience playing around the world with and against the best players. We've been trying to get the Euro T20 Slam going for the last couple of years. It's not managed to happen. But those guys need to be exposed to playing with and against the best players in the world. At the moment, this Interpro structure is what we've got to do that, and it's probably not enough. But that's what we've got to work with.
Yeah, probably a couple of young players, particularly Josh Little, putting his hand up for maybe some selection in some of those franchise competitions. Good to hear that Cricket Ireland open to wanting to get those players exposure overseas where they can. We've spoken enough about the men for the moment. The women's programme, it's been the highlight of the summer in many ways so far, getting the return to international cricket on the island. That was a great series up against Scotland News with a couple of fixtures across. I think they're taking the Northwest Thunder in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah,
they're flying actually, but absolutely. Look, it's opportunities to give the players high quality cricket, high pressure cricket. They're going to a World Cup in T20. We have a European qualifier and playing more pressurised cricket. And
what you're talking about there, sorry Richard, is those 2 games are going to be played at the main Old Trafford ground.
That's right. Yeah, and many of them wouldn't have experienced. Particularly look at the young squad that played against Scotland. A lot of them wouldn't have experienced anything like that. When they get to a World Cup or a World Cup qualifier, they're going to be playing in stadiums, and that can be quite daunting on itself. So we're trying to get together with Lancashire County Cricket Club and their Women's Northwest programme there to try and give our players more opportunity. We're hoping that that'll be a reciprocal arrangement whereby they'll come over to Ireland and play as well. And then later in the summer, before the T20 qualifier, we're going to have a 4-match T20I series against a yet-to-be-named country, which again will give
Richard, give us the little secret.
No, I can't give that away just yet. But it's important again to give them more and more cricket. The Super Series has been a great success, but again, we need to give them an international cricket, play against teams that are ranked closely to them to help prepare for those 2 tournaments.
Good to hear that there's going to be more international cricket for the women. We'll find out. You'll keep us on the edge of our seat. A quick word, you spoke about the impact some of the legends of Irish cricket are making on the game in the shape of Gary Wilson and William Porterfield evolving into that part playing, part coaching role. Ed Joyce has had a phenomenal impact on that young Irish women's squad.
Yeah, he has, and look, it's been a really tough period for him, as it has been for all coaches. But Ed came in as you remember, as interim head coach. He took us to the T20 qualifiers. We had a tough time there, didn't quite qualify, and actually he's been in sort of lockdown and the pandemic ever since, without any cricket. So to keep the players going and to instill that confidence and belief in them to go out and beat Scotland 3-1 was great to see.
Richard, we better get off air because the umpires are out. The Leinster Lightning top order's out. Are we going to see Kevin O'Brien hit it from ball one? Let's go and find out with Alan Lewis and John Kenny.
Thanks, Andrew. And also, thank you very much to Richard Holsworth, Performance Director of Cricket Ireland. Interesting insights there. And really are at the start of a busy summer into winter as well, with T20 World Cups to come, World Cup qualifiers for our women as well. But we're going to concentrate now on the reply for Leinster Lightning, chasing 175 for victory in match 2 for them, and also for the Knights, who lost heavily yesterday to the Warriors. Opening batsman Kevin O'Brien, who announced his retirement from the 50-over version of the game yesterday, but he's going to continue on T20. And Simi Singh, Alan Lewis, who hit a very brisk 44 yesterday.
Yeah, it's been part of the change within the Leinster Lightning lineup. Simi Singh coming up to the top of the order, where he's been accustomed to playing before, but there's been a vast improvement in his game. Back to his old, I'd say.
Mark Adair opens the bowling. Kevin O'Brien didn't last very long yesterday. Just a couple of deliveries before he was out for just 2. A lot on his mind yesterday, I'd say. I did a long interview with him yesterday, and very circumspect in his replies. Obviously been thinking about it for a long time, and now he's obviously has got other things in his mind in terms of his future. He's got his own academy up and running, and he's talking about perhaps down the line becoming a test umpire.
Well, of course, that will mean he'll have to ply his trade locally if he's likely to do that. But I suppose what will be more interesting is, as the course of time goes over. Obviously, I spoke to him myself briefly yesterday. Those immortal words, everything begins, but things have to come to an end, John, and to do it on your own terms with the career that Kevin has had.
Chrysler catch it. Just falls short of John Matchett. And O'Brien got away with that one.
He did. Just probably looking to get that a wee bit straighter. The difficult kind of stop from Johnny Matchett, but the main thing was he did stop it. So Leinster yet to get off the mark here. Mark Adair at 3 dots.
And O'Brien off the mark, whips it into the leg side, but it's good fielding. Prevents the ball going through to the boundary ropes. Just the single for Kevin O'Brien. He's off the mark, and so are the Lightning.
Just need a wee bit of time just to get yourself in, but who knows when the fireworks will begin.
O'Brien calls Singh through quickly. That's good running. He was bouncing towards the wicketkeeper Neil Rock, but O'Brien spotted the opportunity, called Singh through quickly for the second single, coming to the end of the first over. It was good cricket by O'Brien, spotted that very quickly.
It certainly did. 5 deliveries gone. Be important from a Knights point of view. Adair finishes strong. And he does too. Only 3 from the over. John, and again, employing that sweeper on the offside. Georgeson collecting. And there's a bit more bounce about the Knights, which there needed to be after yesterday, John. Graham McCarthy wasn't his usual self yesterday. Wee bit floaty, and he got the treatment. Speaking around the ground, he was only saying he hasn't played a huge amount of cricket over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And again, the thing that I spoke to you earlier about, so important for a bowler, is rhythm. And to get that back, and I'm sure he'll be hoping he can get it back right away today.
Just means an adjustment to the sight screen now as McCarthy's going to open up with St. John's End, far end of the ground. Just had to push that sight screen over to Kevin O'Brien's liking. 175 needed for victory in this match 3 of this IP20 festival here at Pembroke Cricket Club. Nice warm morning. Sun has been breaking through occasionally. Wispy clouds above our head as McCarthy bowls to O'Brien. And Singh's going to call them through. And again, good running and good understanding between this pair.
Yeah, that's the type of thing you got to do. You've got to be really looking for nudging what you believe are the good balls into gaps and plundering anything that may be offline, or you begin to take a wee bit of risk yourself. Obviously, you can see O'Brien shuffling his way to leg side to give himself room to play on the offside, which we saw a lot of yesterday with the Northwest Warriors in particular, and no surprise, Neil Rock coming up to the stumps to add to that pressure.
That's a wide. We did see that yesterday, didn't we? When McCarthy was bowling, the Warriors took exceptional delight in his bowling, but it was stifled just a little bit by the decision to bring Rock up to the stumps. And in particular, Simi Singh, he likes to get down the track, doesn't he, and play that cross-bat shot all the time. It's his favourite shot.
Again, that's clever from Kevin O'Brien. Not the easiest of areas out there. Obviously, rugby has played that side of the ground, but the dry spell that we've had over the last 2 or 3 weeks, a little bit bobbly. So Kevin O'Brien not hanging around. Probably shouldn't have been a single there, but he called so quickly. That's a very good shot from O'Brien. Just steered wide of extra cover. Thought he might have hit it a bit harder than that, but only the single. Harry Tector will be pleased so far.
Yeah, this pair haven't gotten the early bowlers away. McCarthy now turns. Former Irish international badminton player. McCarthy had a spell with Gloucestershire. Big tall man. 28 years of age now, from Carrickfergus.
Playing for Carrickfergus, of course. Originally Graham McCarthy hailed from the Northwest Warriors. He's been around a few clubs, Graham.
Quick single again. Throw the stumps from Adair. Oh, that didn't miss by much. And you can see head on hands out there, Alan Lewis. And the feeling is that Adair didn't miss by much, and that Simi Singh would have been in trouble had they hit.
Of course, we're not going to see this too much ourselves, but big chance. Singh looked to have been comfortably in, mind you, John, just from that camera.
Oh, and O'Brien's gone, trying to carve it away, but backward point. Snaffles that up, and Ross Adair takes a very good catch, and they get rid of Kevin O'Brien. Didn't last long yesterday, just 2 runs today, just 4. And that's not good form from Kevin O'Brien. Just 6 runs in those last 2 innings for the Leinster Lightning, and the first wicket falls with the score at 8, and the Knights will be buoyed by that one.
They certainly will. Didn't really get comfortable at any stage. Kevin O'Brien always looking to give himself that room. Slashed at that kind of thickage outside edge, but it was a good catch from Ross Adair. And a very good start for the Northern Knights, and you could feel that excitement with the end of Kevin O'Brien. Always a danger man. But he's gone early.
And the Irish captain, not the Leinster Lightning captain, because that's George Dockrell, is Andy Balbirnie. It was a pleasure to watch the Irish captain in action. Scored 20 yesterday in their defeat of the Munster Reds. It was a comfortable victory.
Well, this is a funny one tactically for me, John. David Delaney now coming on to bowl bold with great pace yesterday, but Mark Adair's first over went for 3. And again, it was something that we saw in the Women's International, particularly with Orla Prendergast. Ed Joyce, no difficulty, giving the premier bowler, Orla Prendergast, 3 up front, push the pressure on.
Yeah, it's good to see Delaney back after a knee injury. Bowling off a shorter length yesterday was generating some pace. 175 needed for victory, and that run rate is just easing up all the time. It was less than 9 when they started. No panic yet, but still, O'Brien back in the hutch. And was that a big thick outside edge? There were lots of oohs and ahs out there.
It certainly was a thick outside edge, John, and Neil Rock seems to be in a little bit of difficulty for whatever reason I do not know. But he's stayed down, and I don't know whether it's his shoulder or what it is, but it was a big thick edge from Simi Singh, and he had it in his fingertips, but he just couldn't cling on. It was a thick outside edge. It would have been a great catch had he held on to it. Might have been better just going with the one hand. Went with 2 and fell awkwardly, but he's back on his feet again. And David Delaney off this very much shortened run for him.
Beats the outside of the bat. Irish captain Balbirnie facing for the first time. Singh got lucky there. We couldn't hear the click here, but obviously there was a big thick outside edge from Simi Singh, and Rock just couldn't cling on, the 20-year-old from Rush. And again, Delaney beats the outside of the bat. This is good performance from the Knights so far.
Well, it's put paid to my theory, John. Mark Adair, David Delaney started exceptionally well here. Not really at his normal type of express pace, but that's an interesting shot, John. Shovelled, I would say, leg side by George Dockrell, but very successfully for 4. And
Balbirnie.
Sorry, should I say Balbirnie? Excuse me.
Yeah, pulled it from off to on, didn't he? It's a shot that he produced the first boundary for the Leinster Lightning. Oops, that's off Adair's hand. Standing at wide a second slip. And that wraps up an interesting over from Delaney, put it that way. 14 for 1 at the end of 2.
Sorry for that confusion to our viewers, mentioning George Dockrell. Of course.
It's all right, I mixed up Peter Chase and Craig Young yesterday, so...
I hear you, I hear you.
Peter Chase not involved today for the Leinster Lightning. He's been struggling with his Achilles and heel over the last 18 months. He's visited a specialist, so he's not involved. And Jack Tector left out of the 12-man Leinster Lightning squad, who are unchanged. Just Rory Anders, the 12th man today. End of 3, 14 for 1. And the run rate just eking up towards 9.5 and over. Again, in this format of the game, with these experienced players out there, 2 Irish internationals in tandem, there won't be any panic. Change of bowling now from the far end.
Ross Adair coming into the attack, so Harry Tector certainly mixing and matching his bowlers, going in 1 over spells.
It's down the leg side, it's going to be a wide. Yes, Mark Adair, the brother now on Ross. Graham McCarthy and Dave Delaney, the 4 bowlers used so far. When pressed at the toss, Alan, I said to Harry Tector that it was a big defeat yesterday, obviously going under to the Warriors, and good reply from him saying, well, one defeat doesn't make us a bad team, and so is proved in this game. Northern Knights making 174 for 7. That's a good total on this pitch. It's a good pitch as well, Harry Tector has been saying. Maybe yesterday the ball wasn't coming onto the bat. It seems to have dried out. It's going to be the same pitch for all 6 matches, actually. But Tector opined that it is a good pitch, and a good pitch to bat on too.
It was coming on to most of the Northwest Warriors batsmen.
It certainly
Blundered.
was. This is good from Adair. Two dot balls in a row. Just the one extra from this. And a good stop as well. Good urgency in the field. That's the Lightning perhaps guilty a little bit of some not great fielding at times, but certainly the Knights are up for this one. It's a good stop.
Johnny Matchett again. Wonderful stop from him. Saves his team 4 runs there with a quality dive and gather. And as you say, John, a lot more tidier than the Leinster Lightning's fielding, but they have a decent fielding unit, as been shown here. And interesting too, cutting off that square area for Simi Singh, that area of strength that you talked about for him, coming down the wicket, advancing, and just can't seem to get the ball away at the moment. Simi Singh, 4 from his 7 deliveries faced.
He does like to get down the wicket, Simi Singh, but with Rock standing up, he's just not doing that at the moment. But it's good bowling from Ross Adair. And sweep is going to go for 4, is it? No, there's a fielder down there. And that's good fielding as well, too, from Luke Georgeson. Prevents the boundary, just the single to end that over. 17 for 1, and run rate required 9.88. Yeah, it's probably Northern Knights are on top at the moment.
No doubt about that. Run rate creeping towards 10, and the tendency is, as overs creep by and you're not getting boundaries, that rate will rise dramatically. Now, it is the sort of ground, John, where no different to the onslaught that Simi Singh had on Fionn Hand before he was out to that extraordinary catch. But you can gather pace quite quickly. Short, straight boundaries.
And that's what Singh likes to do, doesn't it? It's just get down the track and cross bat, slog it, or whip it, kind of helicopter style. But Delaney, extra bit of bounce on that, and Singh couldn't get bat on ball. Just the single. Yeah, if you get a chance, we did put it up on social media yesterday. Cricket Ireland have it as well. That extraordinary catch from Fionn Hand, moving away to his left-hand side. But before that, Singh had plundered them all over the ground. 4 fours in a row, then a maximum, and then that extraordinary catch. It was by far one of the best overs of cricket I've seen at interprovincial level.
Certainly was.
Run right now above 10, Alan.
For the first time. That's been struck very handsomely, but again, a very good piece of fielding by Georgeson there, sweeping out in the deep. And there's far more energy about this Knights team today. And Harry Tector is right. You don't become a bad team overnight. Obviously, the performance yesterday was so below par, but they've come back today, and it's amazing. Probably they benefited from playing early again. You know, you go into a dressing room after a performance, there's not much you can say. The only thing you can do is by your actions the following day. So certainly in terms of being out and about, getting out early this morning, they've started ever so well here.
Single to Singh. If you missed any of the action, you can also check it out on the Cricket Ireland Twitter handle at Cricket Ireland. It's got some of the best highlights of all the games we've seen over the weekend. That's at Cricket Ireland. If you have any comments, good or bad, about the commentary, about the presentation, we always like to hear constructive criticism. Get in contact with us at Cricket Ireland, and that's carved away by Balbirnie, and that's a welcome for the Irish captain and for the Leinster Lightning.
Yeah, lovely shot that from the Ireland captain, showing all his class. A little bit wider, and he swats that away hard on the offside, piercing the gap. Just the type of tonic he may need to get himself going. Notoriously takes his time. Andrew Balbirnie, a great accumulator of shots all round the ground, great sweeper of the ball.
Oof, that's a thick outside edge, and that would have been caught had there been a slip in place there. A little fortuitous, Balbirnie. That ends the over, 28 for 1 at the end of 5. Couple of boundaries in that, and the second one a streaky one.
Yes, indeed. It was funny. Prior to over to Delaney, they employed a slip. And at the end of the day, the only other thing you've got to rationalise with, John, that sort of thing happens in T20 cricket. Inside edge, outside edge. Very frustrating for the bowler. It's hard enough in this game to bowl, but when you get nicked away like that, it's even more damaging.
So you can see on the screen there, 147 required for victory off 15 overs. We've got a game on here.
Certainly do. As Graham Mccarthy comes back into the attack.
Singh pumps it down the ground for just the single. Falls short of Harry Tector. Good comparison there. 28 for 1 at the end of 5. 46 for 1 were the Knights. But at that stage, McCollum had departed for 25, and Georgeson and Room Pretorius were in good nick.
Very much so. Aided and abetted by some average Leinster Lightning fielding, it has to be said. And again, it's a funny game that way, T20. You can come and go. The flow of your game. And just hasn't quite started for the Leinster Lightning just yet.
MacArthur back on now after the one over from Adair. And it's over the head of short fine leg. And inventive shot from Balbirnie. His third boundary takes him onto 19 now, in fact onto 23, and it's 33 for 1.
Well, it's an area that he profits so much from. That gets down on one knee, sweeps, glances like that ever so well.
That's another 4. This time the opposite side of the wicket, just ease it off the face of the bat. Beats third man, and second consecutive boundary for Balbirnie.
Well, again, that a little bit wide from Graham McCarthy, and at his pace, he can't really afford that. It still has to be put away. And Andrew Balbirnie did that with style. And he's got moving now, Andrew Balbirnie. Score advances to 37. And that rate has come down below 10 in a very quick period of time. John? The difficulty they have here is retrieving the ball. It's in one of the most beautiful hedges that we have surrounded the ground. Obviously, our viewers can't see them.
Yeah, there they are. They're just behind the side screen. There's 4 people involved trying to retrieve that ball. Kevin Gallagher alongside us, the match referee. Just wondering, will they actually find the ball before he has to bring out a spare? It was a ball yesterday, went straight over our head, Alan, and rattled around in the bins behind us here. I went trying to find it yesterday to maybe keep it as a memento. Couldn't find it. Still searching forlornly for the ball.
I think it's about time that Kevin Gallagher, the match referee, came out. with some additions, which he duly is right now. Roland Black very quickly decides on which ball they're going to use, and I'm sure in the interim,
for the amount of people that play back garden cricket, this is just losing the ball in the hedge is part of it all, isn't it?
it was the nightmare of back garden cricket. And of course, the old one hand, one bounce off the net. Various different games, but it's funny actually, John, because when you're a kid, and I see two children down there in the net at the moment, softball with a stumpy as we called it. That's where you got your cricketing education.
Reaching for it, Balbernie couldn't get bat on ball. 2 consecutive boundaries previous to that, coming to the end of the 6th over. Balbernie on 23. Singh, just the 8 runs from his 12 deliveries. He needs to hurry up when he gets into action, because he was certainly biffing the ball around the ground yesterday. Backward point again, Matchett could stop. In fact, that's Ross Adair with the stop to end that, the 6th over. 37 for 1, and Chase is on, requiring 175 for victory. Balbernie on 23, Singh on 8. There could be a change of bowling as well. Dave Delaney, a couple of overs from the commentary box end, and that's the end of the power play as well, as Mark Adair returns.
After a very successful first over, yes indeed, Mark Adair returns, only 3 from it. And Harry Tector will be very happy with that power play. Only 37 from the 6 overs, so he'll be a happy captain at this stage.
And you can see the comparison there. The Knights were at 54 for 1, but the game has fluctuated throughout their innings. So just the 1 wicket down, it's not a huge comparison. 37 for 1 off 6. Run rate still hovering around that 10 and over.
Well, the only thing with this format, John, is in the blink of an eye things can change. And it's a ground where you can score heavily if you get in. Andrew Balbernie kind of catching that off the glove, shoveling it around the corner. Didn't get into a great position to play it. Normally a big strength of his, that pull shot. So we've got fine leg, deep square leg, mid wicket, mid on in, mid off back here. Captain in front of us, Harry Tector.
Ooh, shy of the stumps, and it takes the stumps out of the ground, and he's made his ground just. What a throw that was by Room Pretorius to remove one of the stumps. Singh home just.
Well, Alan Neal, the umpire here, got in a very good position to make a judgment call. And again, in any of these sorts of ones that we see with the direct hit, John, at DRS and various different things, when they go upstairs, there's every chance that might have been a lot closer than perhaps Alan Neal thought, and he's just fixing up the stumps now. Adair very keen to get going on top here, he feels, which they are. The Knights are on top.
Yeah, just the 3 singles and the attempted run out from this over from Mark Adair. Just be another single as well. It's good bowling from Adair. Good fielding from the Knights as well. Putting pressure on a team that, don't forget, have won 6 of the 8 IP20 series games over the last couple of years. Munster Reds up against the Warriors at 4 o'clock. But the Lightning under pressure, and the run rate again just ticks over that 10. Oh, and Adair gets the wicket of Simi Singh. Well, he's been there for an awful long time. 15 deliveries for just 10. It looks like he chopped on. And Adair gets his man. Just the 4 singles previous to that built the pressure. And Simi Singh gone for 10 after that flamboyant 44 yesterday. And he looks very annoyed at himself. And Mark Adair very happy with himself. And the second wicket gone down in the 7th over, 41 for 2.
Yeah, never really got going. Simi Singh today, no fluidity to his play, and in terms of that dismissal, it was perhaps a symptom of that, playing really across a ball where its areas of strength are over long off here and over extra cover from a strong base, but never really established that today, Simi Singh. And it's brought the skipper, George Dockrell, to the crease. And there might be a different tempo now. Been in stellar form all season, George Dockrell with the bat. And it's been an amazing transformation, really. It's actually heartening today to see him bowl actually quite well. But it's been with the bat in both the IP20 and, of course, yesterday that he's just been on a train of runs. And again, there's the energy he brings. Look, he pushes so hard. And again, that's gone for 4 straight away. Last delivery, Mark Adair will be very, very disappointed with that. As it brings us to the conclusion of the 7th, John, and my time to take a wee breather, where I'll be taken over by Andrew Leonard.
45 for 2, thanks Alan. 25 to Balbirnie, 4 immediately off the mark. George Dockrell scored 48 yesterday, should really have got a 50. Ball was trundling to the boundary in the last ball of the over in the win against the Munster Reds, but decided to run a single, so in the end he was not out. 48, his highest score in IP 20 for George Dockrell. And Irish captain and Lightning captain together now in tandem with a score on 45 for 2. And this is an intriguing game. 175 needed for victory. And we're going to have a change of bowling as well from the St John's end. The 22-year-old CSNI right arm leg break of the Dubliner Ben White, as Andrew Leonard joins me in the commentary box.
Game really interestingly poised here. These 4 overs from Ben White are going to go a long way to deciding the fate of today's match. 10 and over exactly required for the Lightning.
Two good batters at the crease now for the Lightning. Simi Singh looked very good for his 44 yesterday, but got bogged down today, really. Never really got going. Dockrell showed immediate intent, but a boundary off his first delivery. And a change in the field as well. Harry Tector ringing the changes. Bringing up Graham McCarthy into the ring. And Mark Adair down at the mid-wicket boundary's been pulled a bit squarer. They've got a fine leg in place as well. Short third man and a slip in. Oh, straight back at White and he drops it. And it was a sharp chance. George Dockrell hammered it back at the bowler and he couldn't cling on.
George Dockrell hits the ball with such power these days. Perfect demonstration of it here. It was really evasive action as much as anything for Ben White here. Almost cannon into his chest. He never got into a position to catch it.
Balbirnie calls him through quickly and the shy at the stumps. Neil Rock can't pick it up and they scramble through for a single. Balbirnie off and running almost immediately. The ball left the bat.
Huge credit to the way the Knights have turned things around. What a difference less than 24 hours make. The afternoon game yesterday, they were a shambles. They're right on top now against the favourites.
Cries a catch and he won't catch that. That's just down on one knee from Balbirnie. Swivel of the hips. And 50 on the scoreboard for the Leinster Lightning as the Irish captain helps himself to a nice 4 down the leg side.
So good on the sweep shot, Andy Balbirnie. He's got that behind square and it's brought about a change in the field. He's coming much finer, that man.
Balbirnie goes the other way. Ball out of the back of the hand, and a good stop down there too. Prevents the 4 runs. And Balbirnie is looking in very good nick out there. He seems untroubled. He's a top-class batsman, a world-class batsman. The Irish captain takes his total to 32, 53 for 2 in the 8th over, and still that run rate on 10 and over. White continues, much fuller delivery. Dockrell runs too quickly, shy of the stumps again. Oohs and ahs out there. They're certainly keeping the Lightning on their toes.
Yeah, that required run rate, John, while that hovers in and around 10 and over, it's a big task. But this is the engine room of the Lightning batting lineup. George Dockrell, leading run scorer in the IP20 earlier in the summer, cannot stop scoring runs. Andy Balbirnie doing so with him. Century for him up in North Down earlier in the summer, the IP50, but he's doing it in the T20 format now. 33 off 22, that's strike rate 150. That's where it needs to be. Need to target at least 1 if not 2 boundaries every over, and you can see the way these two are trying to go about it. Trying to run hard between the wickets and lots of singles, a boundary or 2 to go with it. Keep that required run rate underneath 12. Don't want it getting to 2 a ball, John. It becomes really difficult then. Luke Georgeson's going to come in now into the attack. Right arm military medium, keeper up to the stumps from the Wilfield Road end.
22-year-old New Zealander. Holds an Irish passport and becomes eligible to represent Ireland next year. Luke Georgeson made 31 in the batting for the Knights.
He didn't bowl yesterday, John. He opened the batting the last 2 days, all-rounder, out and out all-rounder. Saw him used with the ball an awful lot in the IP50, but didn't get given the call yesterday. A lot of work done in the matchups. Potentially they feel there's something he can do to disrupt Dockrell or Balbirnie.
Just a little movement in the field in front of us. We can see just in front of us that Harry Tector actually moved from his left to his right hand side, and it just put George Dockrell off, and he stepped away from the stumps and pointed at his opposite captain.
Yeah, a little bit of an argument between the two captains, 60 yards apart. Harry Tector saying he didn't move, he hasn't changed his position, hasn't changed his angle, he's entitled to walk in towards the batter.
Yeah,
George Dockrell disagrees.
I would disagree too as well. I think George Dockrell was right in what he said there, because Harry did move from his left hand side to his right. I won't chance the arm now to run for the second run, but Tector did move from his left to his right and then move into the field of play. So I think Dockrell stepping away from the stumps was actually right in questioning his opposite number.
Batsman always well within his rights as well to step away if he's not ready. That's all that matters. He can take his time. George is not to do it all over again.
Tries to catch it down towards market there. Tector is just trying a little gamesmanship out there, because previous to that delivery he moved from his right to his left. Just testing things out there.
They've traditionally been the big rivals in this Interpro series, but a little bit of handbags between the two captains.
I don't have a problem with it. I just think it's all's fair in love and war. But as you say, Dockrell perfectly within his rights to point out to the umpire, and he felt that Harry Tector was actually moving not onto the field of play in a direct line, but moving to his side.
Where's the boundary coming from in this over? 3 singles and a dot. Pressure builds every time we see a string of dots or singles. That required run rate is going to go up.
Yeah, it's gone up now to nearly 10.5 and over. It's just singles. It's not what's required at this particular juncture. Barney now well set. He's 35. Dockrell we know can bat, and has shown that in the 50 over format of the game, and also with his 48 yesterday. Georgeson continues, good over this. They're just going up in singles, and that's a good over from Georgeson. Just the 5 runs from it.
5 singles from the over, and that's a win for the Northern Knights. If they can do that 2 or 3 more times in the second half of this chase for the Leinster Lightning, they could well get over the line. I make the Knights favourites right now, and what a turn up it would be for the Bucks. You would have given them absolutely no chance today after their performance yesterday afternoon. They were run ragged beaten in no time at all. The chase for the Northwest Warriors taking just 11.1 overs, hammered all around the park, but they've come back with a renewed vigour today. Took an awful lot of time after the game yesterday in the team tent, in the team marquee. So long, in fact, they were the last team to leave the ground, so it was a real post-mortem as we see another change in bowling. See Ross Adair back in with his left arm spin.
Balbirnie having to reach for that. And the one bounce down to the fielder prevents the boundary and just the single. And we have a crowd in today of 100 spectators, and tomorrow as well. And all ticket receipts will be used to benefit the Cricket Leinster Disability Programme, which includes the purchase of a new table cricket sets for use by clubs and youth sporting organisations. So if you're here today, your money's certainly not going to waste. And there's also more cricket to come for the Leinster Lightning. During the week announced an extended 18-man bowls panel to take part in the first edition of the Cricket Ireland Future Series as well. A tournament to provide competitive action for those on the talent pathways with aspirations of playing senior, interprovincial and international cricket as well. And we do have the Irish Cricket Academy, which has been running now for a couple of years as well. So a lot of work being done down at grassroots level. That's a good take off his own bowling by Adair to prevent the single. And Leinster Lightning just getting a little bogged down here. George Dockrell, we know, batting supremely well this season, remains stuck on 7. That's better. Or is it? Is he going to be caught? Yeah, well, he perishes down at long off. Good bowling by Adair. Third one falls. Adair gone for 7, 60 for 3 now.
With the loss of the captain, do Leinster Lightning's chances in this game disappear? Trying to hit it down the ground, needing to clear long off or long on because they were both in place. Again, the dot ball is the thing that's built the pressure. And Ross Adair, with his slightly unconventional left arm orthodox, has got a massive scalp. He's dismissed George Dockrell for 7. He falls from 8 deliveries. And how much happier are the Northern Knights today? Lorcan Tucker in at number 5. He has a quite mammoth task in front of him. Required run rate up at 11. The two Pembroke teammates here, Balbirnie and Tucker, are going to have to pull off something extraordinary because right now it is all Northern Knights. They are all over the Lightning.
Yeah, Lorcan Tucker, 24-year-old Dubliner, part of the 2016 Under-19 Cricket World Cup team. Made his debut for Ireland in September of that year, 2016. He won't be facing because the batsman crossed. Is going to be Balbirnie. A lot riding now on Andy Balbirnie's shoulders. 37 not out. Is he the man to take the Lightning home? Well, it's a big ask. I won't get 2 here because Mark Adair is quick across the ground. That reconstructed ankle surgery certainly has paid dividends for Mark Adair. Scampers across the ground. He's got a great arm as well.
What a spell this is from Ross Adair. Into his second over, 1 for 5 so far. Reminds me a little bit of an Anton Devcic from New Zealand, or maybe Aaron Finch. Doesn't look the most natural or convincing left arm spinner. He's short in stature, but he's not allowing the Lightning batsman any elevation to work with. Everything just delivered very flat. Very difficult to get him hit away for big shots.
Tucker improvises. Is that going to go all the way for 4? No, it's not. That's a great dive. A great stop by Luke Georgeson. Prevents the boundary. Just the 2. That's good work in the field. You've got to back up the bowlers with the fielding. And Georgeson certainly did that on that occasion. A brilliant diving stop.
Magnificent work. And perfectly captured by our cameraman up in the gantry there. He was quite literally sprinted probably 30 yards across to his right. Dived across the turf to save a certain 4.
And he's bowled him. Well, it's gone from bad to worse. Middle stump out of the ground. A former professional rugby player, played for Ballynahinch, little spell with Ulster, now concentrating fully on his cricket. The 27-year-old Ross Adair gets the 4th wicket, 63 for 4, and Tucker departs for 2.
Yeah, what a wicket. The middle stump knocked out of the ground. Ross Adair is bowling a match-changing spell here. very much a part-time left-arm spinner, known as a power hitter, often at the top of the order, particularly in club cricket. He's been employed down the order at number 8. Really effective cameo innings earlier where he made 21 off just 12 deliveries. And he's followed up with 2 wickets. He's put himself in contention for the player of the match. Andy Balbirnie must be wondering what his teammates are doing. He's got 38. The rest of them have 25 between them. Halfway stages at 63 for 4. The Lightning, they're in danger of going down to a heavy defeat here.
Yeah, Ross Adair in the Northern Knights innings, himself and David Delaney put on last week a stand of 22 and take them past the 170 marks. That was important, and now he's got a couple of wickets, and he has put himself in the frame for possible inclusion in the man of the match, which is picked by our commentators, or player of the match, the Interpro player of the match. We will announce that at the end of the game. David Delaney now coming back on from the commentary box end, and it's going to be Balbirnie now joined by Jamie Grassi coming in at number 6.
Yeah, Grassi's certainly a power hitter. We know what he can bring. With David Delaney though, John, just operating off even a shorter run-up than yesterday, still generating really extreme pace, but just added the bit of control that perhaps he was lacking yesterday.
Yeah, I thought that. Yesterday was just all about pace, wasn't it, off that shortened run-up. Today, just a little more circumspect in his deliveries, trying to get the right line and length, especially to somebody like Andy Balbirnie, who just looks so composed in the way he bats. He's on to 39 now. Grassi facing for the first time. 175 needed for victory. 64 for 4. This is a brilliant comeback from the Knights. And it's just, I keep referring back to it, a toss about Harry Tector saying it doesn't turn our team into a bad team overnight, having lost heavily to the Warriors yesterday. And as you said, they obviously did a lot of soul searching yesterday at the end of the game. And they're certainly amongst it now, and this will just open up this particular festival of T20 cricket. We're up in Breedy next week now for the second series of it. The next one is in the North Cricket Union in September. Let's talk about another one possibly before the World Cup finals, of which Ireland have qualified. Where that'll take place, well, it's anybody's guess at this particular juncture. Possibly the UAE. That's for another day, but Cricket Ireland obviously anxious to get as much T20 cricket into these players as possible before they head to the World Cup.
Harry Tector just ringing the changes there. Extra fielder comes in the offside.
Oh, I could hear that, couldn't you? Oh no, says David Delaney as Grassi comes down the track at him, reaches for that, gets a big thick outside edge, and it trundles away for 4.
Yeah, couldn't quite believe it, could he? Probably even heard that exasperation in the background from our microphones here. Much needed runs for the Lightning. They're still well behind the game.
That's well bowled by Delaney. He would have suspected that Grassi was going to come down the track at him again, and he just bowled it in short. Grassi couldn't get bat on ball, and another dot ball.
Whatever the Northern Knights had for their breakfast this morning up at the Burlington Hotel where all the teams are staying, it seems to have worked the oracle. They're all over.
Probably had 3 in the bowl this morning, I'd say.
Could well have been. It's pushing up towards that 2 required every ball now. Very nearly 12 and over.
That's a long way back. 107 runs from 55. That's a tall order with only 6 wickets remaining. And the way the Knights are bowling and fielding out there, that ends another one. David Delaney throws his head back in exasperation. Grassi just missed that. It ends the 11th over and 68 for 4.
Let's take a look at the bowling figures. Knights have been so impressive. 6 bowlers used today. Nothing from Ruhan Pretorius and nothing from Harry Tector either. Both used yesterday. Georgeson bowling in their place today. But these bonus overs, and I call them bonus overs because Ross Adair, not necessarily a frontline bowler by any stretch, a part-time bowler, but he's been so effective today. 7 deliveries, went for 16 yesterday. Today he's bowled 2 overs, 2 for 7, but he's been taken out of the attack. Ben White back in, 1 spinner replaces another.
Yeah, you mentioned Harry Tector bowling yesterday. They looked like they were angry overs yesterday. He brought himself on to say, look, come on, we need to show our mettle, show our strength. Part-time bowler Harry Tector as well, but hasn't seen any action today. They don't need him at the moment. They're bowling so well. Reverse. Oh, and did that quite carry to Ross Adair? I don't know if it did.
I think it did, John. I think that's a drop catch. It would have been a spectacular one.
I might see this on replay, hopefully. Diving forward, Adair from the reverse sweep from Balbirnie. Yeah, not quite sure that he get to the pitch of that, but certainly a good attempt. Diving forward, always difficult to catch those. Balbirnie survives. He's on 40 now. Well, that's the end of Grassy. And the wickets are falling at all the wrong times for the Leinster Lightning. They were 60 for 2. They're 69 for 5 now. Grassy departs for 4.
Yeah, the slog sweep from Garassi is beaten and the stumps are castled for the second time from this end. The first one from Ross Adair. This time Ben White, the leg spinner, finds a way through. Garassi stays a short one. Leinster Lightning threatening to be beaten out of sight here. 69 for 5 in the 12th over. Balbirnie playing a lone hand. No one's able to stay with them. With Tim Tector come in at 7. The 4 remaining batters in the hutch, all really bowlers. JJ Garth maybe will come in at number 8. His batting is improving. Barry McCarthy at 9. Josh Little at 10. But they're so reliant upon O'Brien, Balbirnie, Dockrell with the bat. Tucker hasn't found his form really at all yet this season. And if the Lightning are going to have any chance here, Andy Balbirnie's going to have to turn this 40 not out into 100, 110 not out. But they're running out of time. 51 deliveries remain. They need 106. It's almost all over. Can't see the Lightning finding a way back into this game. Can you, John?
No, he's only 18 years of age. Tim Tector from the YM club down the road. Brother of Harry and Jack, left out of the Lightning squad. Made his T20 debut in February of this year for the Wolves against Namibia. Well, that's a tall order to come in now. Balbirnie on 40. Not resting on his shoulders, but it's not looking good for Lightning. It just beats the outside of the bat. Tector trying to give himself a bit of room. They've got to slip in. They can press forward now, can't they, Andrew? Just make sure that they don't give away runs cheaply here. And it's good fielding out there too. I'm very impressed with their all-round performance and the captain leading by example on that particular occasion.
Super stuff this from Ben White, showing good control over his leg breaks. Three dots is not what you need if you're a Leinster Lightning fan right now. 12 overs gone, 69 for 5. This game is only heading one direction.
Yeah, it looks like game over, doesn't it? 48 balls to get 106. It's going to require a Herculean effort from one of these batsmen out there. Your money would be on Balbirnie, 40 not out. And he's made them off 30 deliveries. A lot of improvisation from the Irish captain we've seen out there. A couple of reverse sweeps. 1 or 2 ramps. Down on his knee as well. It's a sweep went round the corner. Georgeson now bowling to Balbirnie. And they're going to run through for the quick single. Tector calls them through. They might get him one on the overthrow here. Well, Tector had run through too far. And Balbirnie was going to call him through, but Tector had run so hard to get to the far end to get in that he ran about 5 or 6 metres past the wicketkeeper, and so as a result of that they couldn't sneak the second. You can see, look how far he's gone, and then he's just realised that there's a second was on with the overthrow, but by that stage Balbirnie had turned his back on him.
Yeah, Balbirnie wasn't happy. He wanted to get back for the second to get back on strike. Nothing really Tector could do. He'd sprinted so hard, like you said, John, to get through for the single.
Yeah, it's just an experience, isn't it? always look for the second, especially in this format of the game. Run hard, run fast for your first one. You never know what could accrue. That's nicely done. Into the leg side. They won't take on the arm though. That's good fielding down there by John Matchett. Yeah, good stuff from Matchett.
It's been outstanding from the Knights. How they've turned it around in such a stylish and extravagant manner. Georgeson doing a good job with the ball as well. It's been really impressive all around, bat ball and in the field.
Well, it's up to about Bernie now to get the scoreboard ticking. Singles just ain't going to cut it at this stage. Practicing the shot out there, the Irish captain, you can see to the right of your screen. Looks well set, but ticking the scoreboard over with singles. It's way behind the 8 ball now. Change in the field. They've pushed David Delaney down to Cow Corner. And a swing and a miss.
Looks very much to me, John, that we're not just going to have a third dominant win out of the 3 matches in the festival so far. We may well have a third bonus point victory. Just trying to do the calculations myself here. I think if the Knights can restrict Leinster to 139 or less, we'll get that checked officially with the match officials. 139 or less, they will take a bonus point win. Turn it around in real style.
Again, just the single as the Knights fielders descend on that ball quickly and get it back to the wicketkeeper quickly as well. That's a good thing as well if you're playing club or schoolboy cricket, schoolgirl cricket, women's cricket. Get in quickly, get rid of the ball quickly, and be on the move all the time as the bowler is coming in to bowl. It's vitally important. Well, they're claiming, and it's been given, not by the umpire at this end, but the umpire at square leg heard the nick, and that's the end of the Irish captain, gone for 42, and with his departure, probably the end of the match.
It's not a nick, John, it's a stumping. Taking the bails off very quickly, really good work from Neil Rock, who's adjusted quickly. Balbirnie overbalancing, going out of his ground, and that's why Rowley Black at square leg has got the finger up and giving him out stumped. Not too often you see stumpings off a medium fast bowler, but brilliant work from Rock. Georgeson's been impressive with the ball today as well. Everything the Knights are touching is turning to gold. This game is going north of the border, and with it, maybe not just 4 points, but probably 5, John.
Yeah, it's going to be good, I think, for this particular IP20 Festival of Cricket. If the Knights can complete the victory, it seems pretty certain now at this stage. 73 for 6 at the end of 13. And that's the end of my stint as well. I'll be doing the after-match presentation, but to take you to the conclusion of the game, Alan Lewis will be joining Andrew Leonard in the commentary box as well.
Thank you, JK. In at number 8 for the Leinster Lightning, surely going to be JJ Garth. I think it is his languid walk to the crease. He'll be at the non-strikers end. Tim Tector will be on strike, no number on his back. Alan Lewis has rejoined me. Alan, my old pal, how have the Northern Knights done it? How have they turned it around in less than 24 hours?
Well, they've just had a bit more spring in their step. There was a period in the middle of their batting innings where they stuttered, but they did the right things at the right time. They were good up front, they were good towards the end, and instrumental in that. And that's a very good shot by JJ Garth to start.
It's not, that's Tim Tector.
Tim Tector, I'm sorry, excuse me.
He's down the track, straight to the pitch of the ball. The first man to really get a hold of Ross Adair. Adair's been so effective with these kind of left-arm darts. I described him, he's a bit like an Aaron Finch, isn't he? You know the way Aaron Finch bowls those sort of flat, not tall in stature?
Just roly-poly, just rolls it out of the left arm. But as you say, Tim Tector, the first man really to take the game to him. He's had a very good match, Ross Adair.
Tector's going to heave that one into the deep. Is that going to fly all the way? These are the fireworks the Lightning lead, but are they coming too late? The 4 followed by a 6. The change in bowling. Why did they take Ben White off?
Extraordinary, really. But Harry Tector's mixed around his bowlers today, and Tim Tector's cleared the left leg. He's a very powerful striker of the ball if he gets in.
And he hasn't got that one at all. It was dragged down by Adair, but good running. JJ Garth is a good young athlete. He'll always get back for two. Tector's going to keep the strike. They need a massive over here. It's more than 13, 14 and over they need at the moment. This is just what they need. 14 in 3 deliveries, but they've got to keep going, Alan.
They certainly do. And they've been sluggish throughout this batting innings. And Tim Tector bringing more impetus to proceedings now. Getting that wide out over extra cover. Very good from him. Ooh.
Yeah, good cricket. 6-6-2-2. Can he find 2 more boundaries somehow in this over? They need a massive over. And Alan, the bonus point very much in play. I think it's going to be about 138, something in that region. The Lightning will need to get past to avoid a bonus point defeat. That's got to be task number 1 for them. Well bowled. Just into the slot, no elevation for Tector to work with. JJ Garth's batting is coming on leaps and bounds, not just a leg spinner he is these days, an out and out all-rounder.
Well, of course, we've got to remember he didn't bowl today, which is strange for me in the sense of what his position in the side is. But as you say, he's a very accomplished batsman in his own right. And that's good, as you say, again from Adair. Andrew getting it right up in the block hole. But a good over for the Lightning. 17 from it. And they're going to need more of that before the conclusion of this match. 85 required from 36 deliveries.
Yeah, 6 overs remain, Alan. You're spot on. 90 for 6 the score. You're not just going to need more overs like that. They're going to need several overs like that. Probably 4 or 5. The remaining 6 overs are going to need to be dispatched across the rope. They'll have the extra pace of Delaney to work with. Delaney's been much more impressive today. Bowled with good control. 3 overs, none for 22 for him. This is his final over. Let's just take a really quick look at the bowling figures as well, if we can, Alan. See who else they might utilise. Just the 2 overs for Georgeson, 1 for 9 for him. Surely going to see Ben White back into the attack from the next over. So we're back live now with Delaney. Stand and deliver stuff from Tim Tector. This is a little cameo that's starting to shine for the Lightning. Can this cameo grow and give them a chance on home soil here?
Well, he's such a natural striker of the ball, Tim Tector. And again, to get the elevation, as you can see, the snap of that wrist, and that has flown to the extra cover boundary. And this is a real cameo from Tector. Probably just the fillip he also needed. Didn't really get a huge amount of opportunity in the 50 over format. Again, unlucky there not to hit the gap.
Yeah, we've got to remember as well, Alan, sorry to cut you off, but we've got to remember he's 18 years of age. Very much highly thought of, was brought into the Irish Wolves side against the Netherlands A. Didn't quite work out from there. Waist high full toss this time and just can only find the sweeper. Needed to get that one away. 1 boundary and over isn't enough for the Lightning.
No, they certainly need 2 or 3 at this stage. But as you say, Andrew, perhaps more importantly, at that bonus point position, it's hard to see them winning from here. But to get beyond 138, that's a good shot from JJ Garth.
Yeah, just a single though. Singles aren't enough at the moment. Tim Tector, this is already a career best for him. Just his 5th T20 match of any kind today. Going past his previous career best of 16. But not a lot of batting left in the hutch. Barry Mccarthy can certainly hit a big ball. We've seen that a few times this season already. He'll be in at number 9. But after that, it's just Josh Little and David O'Halloran. So these two are going to have to pull off a miracle here. It's well over 14 and over. 79 to win off 32. Need to find 2 boundaries here to close out this over, Alan.
And that might be one of them. And then again, it might. No, it isn't. In fact, I thought he'd got that a little bit straighter. It's 2. Georgeson tidying up on the sweeper boundary where he's fielded very well today. The general level of fielding of the Knights today has been so far superior to the Leinster Lightning, who have been drab throughout, you'd have to say, Andrew. And as you say, what a difference a day makes from both counts, really.
Yeah, Georgeson in particular just outstanding in the field, but all around really well led by Harry Tector as well today. That one's going to be possibly not a wide. Right, flirting with that blue guideline. But the decision's gone in the favour of David Delaney. He closes out his spell. 4 overs. None for 30 for him. How close was this one to being a wide? Are you on the side of the batter or the bowler?
I'm on the side of the bowler, and it's been a tidy spell from David Delaney today. He's kept the ball that little bit fuller, and as a result his challenge probably come down in pace a wee bit. We got real excitement yesterday with the pace at which he bowled, and maybe that was part of the talk, a little bit more concentration and keeping the ball that little bit fuller, which they've done here today, and it's been much more challenging. Opening stages, Singh really never got going. Kevin O'Brien never got going. Balbirnie really the only one to spark, and he's back. Ben White is back. Andrew Leonard.
JJ Garth, the leg spinner himself, won't mind facing the leg breaks of White, but Ben White yesterday, 2 wickets for him. Wicket for him today as well. Many talking about him as maybe a potential bolter into the Irish setup for the T20 World Cup. Is he the best of the lot of the leg spinners that we have available at the moment?
I think at the moment he is, Andrew, for me. And look, he's very different. He bowls it from, as I said before, kind of that Afridi. He gets that in drift. Doesn't really have a wrong, and he is one that kind of slides on a bit. But it's that in dip that he gets. That is his danger. And if he gets it again, even talking to former coaches, you only really want it to turn 2 inches. You're either attacking the pad or you're attacking the outside edge. And he's bowled very well here today.
He bowls a really good flat trajectory as well. Good pace for a leggy. Bowled him. Another attempted slog sweep. We saw the exact same from Jamie Garassi, who was castled by Ben White. He doesn't give you any elevation to work with, so if you play across the line, if you miss it, he's going to hit. Would have been LBW if it hit the pad. It didn't need to. It's taken a stump out of the ground. Brilliant from Ben White.
Well, again, you talk about that flat trajectory, Andrew, and that's precisely what he's on you quickly. That slight bit of in drift. And again, JJ Garth looking to play square of the wicket, where the Prophet has largely been down the ground, and not an easy guy to sweep with what he does. And he's had a very successful afternoon, Ben White.
Yeah, Ben White's been superb. I said those 4 overs from Ben White were going to go a long way to deciding the course of this match, and they are swinging the pendulum so far towards the Knights. It's inexorable. Cannot see the Lightning doing anything but perhaps preventing the bonus point victory. I think 139 or 140 or whatever it is a more likely target now than the 175. And the momentum that they took in at the very tail end of their innings, with that little cameo with the bat from Ross Adair and John Matchett, has ended up putting the total beyond the Lightning. Remember the final over of Barry McCarthy was dispatched. He ended up with 4 overs, none for 40. Can he make amends with the bat today? He's going to have to try. He can hit a big ball, Barry.
He certainly can. Probably prefers the ball coming onto the bat more, Andrew, than necessarily a Ben White.
Goes for the sweep shot to start with, picks it up really well. You're spot on about Barry definitely prefers pace on the ball, can really stand and deliver against the quicks. So he's done the right thing there, just get off strike, get a single. He can try and use his long levers, maybe against a couple of the medium pacers. White, so impressive here.
Probably Tim Tector will look to try and get leg side of the ball here, I would imagine. Tight lines that Ben White is bowling.
Not the right shot option for me. For the 3rd time, a sweep is attempted against White, and it's cost the wicket. He's bowled 3 batters. The first 2 were slog sweeps. This is the reverse sweep. He stayed outside the line of the ball. As soon as you miss it, the off stump's gone for a walk again. Not a good shot.
Not really. And again, in terms of the strength areas for Tim Tector, which he showed earlier on, those strong shots down the ground, and he might have gained a lot more profit from that, but he's gone now. Little cameo, 27 from 18 for Tim Tector. And as you say, Andrew, the Leinster Lightning are in real trouble from the point of view of preventing the bonus point for the Northern Knights. And as you say, 14 hours from yesterday's performance to what we've seen today. It's been like 2 different teams.
Chalk and cheese comes to mind. If you just tuned in, You'd suspect the two sides were switching kit because the Knights have been unrecognisable from the side that was so listless yesterday and beaten out of all sight. But what a turnaround for them. Josh Little to the crease at number 10. The game's already over. The game's gone, in my opinion. Can the Lightning avoid that bonus point going their way as well? If they can't, the Knights will join the Lightning and the Warriors in the top of the table. Three sides will have 5 points.
And of course, the Warriors to play later today.
Beautifully bowled, half an appeal. Good work from Rossiter. It slipped, jumping up high to his left. I don't think there was any contact. I think that was just a bit of spin. But really full.
Josh Little's batting always amuses me, Andrew. You just don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know how you'd even. How would you describe that?
Kind of upside down, reverse paddle or something along those lines, Alan.
Ugly.
Squeezing it towards first slip, maybe off the under edge of the bat. Going to see Barry try and bomb a few big ones here. The pace of Markadere back into the attack. And Barry will try to do one thing and one thing only here. He's going to try and hit it down into Willfield Road. He'll clear the front leg and he's going to try and pongo it. Will he be able to?
That is the question. And it's going to be answered in the next number of deliveries. But I dare say revolving door would be another word I'd describe Barry Mccarthy.
In what way, Alan?
Well, it'll be out towards the cow region.
Skied into the air. Could this be a chance? Or is it going to soar over his head? That's the power that Barry McCarthy possesses. He's brilliant to watch with the bat or the ball. The short delivery, loves pace on it. Smashes it into the deep out towards the railway line for 6 off one of Ireland's premier fast bowlers.
That's a cracking shot from Barry McCarthy. It has been heaved over deep square leg for 6. Just the start that the Lightning need.
Hit this one out towards that cow corner area that he favours. Back-to-back 6s. Oh, I think that one's gone all the way.
It hasn't.
It hasn't.
It's been signalled as 4. And Alan Neil
just
one
short,
bounce,
Alan.
just short. But that's 10 from 2 balls.
Looking forward to the replay of this. I was just slightly obscured by our cameraman, Jerry. I thought it had gone all the way, but it hasn't. You're spot on, Alan. Who am I to question? Alan Neil. 6-4. He's got to keep going here, Barry. He's got the long levers. Pressure on Adair. Wouldn't want to be filling out the player of the match for him yet, Alan, would you?
Very difficult at this stage. B. McCarthy may have a say. And I tell you what, if he pulls this off, he'll be the first name on the team sheet. There's no doubt for player of the match. But it's a long way to go. 64 from 22, Andrew.
Gets the inside edge this time, but fine leg is in place, so he's not going to be able to get back for 2. The Lightning need McCarthy to have the strike, really, with the power that he possesses. Has he often perhaps under-delivered with the bat for a guy who does have potential with the bat? County Championship 50s, of course, for Durham.
Possibly so. I think a lot of it, I don't, I think when as you say, when pace is on the ball, he's much more comfortable. It's when pace is off the ball, there's an anxiety to get at it a little bit quick, hands out ahead of the body.
Josh Little completely deceived by a magnificent slower ball that has bounced a couple of times through to the keeper. Little ended up not playing a shot at it. Which variety was this, Alan? Was it the leg cutter?
No, I think it was the back of the hand job. We'll see now. Yeah, hard to see really from our angle here, Andrew. I'm sure you'll give me the insight.
That's surely going to be signalled as at least the one for the over. I thought that one might have been a wide. Josh Little thinks so too. Shrugs his shoulders. Why is that not a wide? I couldn't play a cricket shot at that.
Well, Rolly Black is the man in a better position than you or I. It certainly looked wide to me, Andrew. I would agree with you there. You're always pushing those boundaries with your views.
Good skills though from Mark Adair, extracting that tennis ball bounce from a really short delivery. Right into the block hole this time. That's great death bowling. Over the course of 3 deliveries there, you've seen the full variety. A slower ball, which was either a leg cutter, maybe out of the back of the hand. A really short, sharp, probably a slower ball bouncer that got the tennis ball bounce and then followed up with the Yorker into the block hole. Super skills from Mark Adair.
Super skills indeed. And it's been an accomplished performance. One of the standouts for me, Andrew, today with the Knights has been their ground fielding has been superb. Some brilliant stops in the inner circle in the power play, and it just lifts a team. But I've hardly seen a ball fumbled in an area of the ground that's actually quite difficult to field. Some of the stopping, and it just lifts a team. They've been excellent today, and it's a great riposte from such an abject performance yesterday. And it's amazing how quickly confidence can turn, and it'll be something that will certainly please Harry Tector, who you have said has marshalled the team very, very well today. But the standard here, look at those figures. You must be licking your lips, Andrew Leonard.
Leg spinners win you games. It's what they do, particularly in the T20 version of the game. When T20 came in, everyone said it's going to be the end of spin bowling. It's been the opposite. Josh Little looks for the reverse sweep, gets it away, and gets it away for a boundary 4. Better execution this time. That's what Tim Tector was looking for, but takes it from outside off stump and gets it behind square in the offside for a boundary.
Well, again, the other deliveries where he's got his wickets, Ben White, he was that little bit fuller. That not so much, and again, he's a good exponent of that shot. It's a real risk and reward shot, that, Andrew, as you well know, and there's been many, probably Owen Morgan, the first.
Looks to repeat the dose, but the thing for me, even though he's got it there, you've 2 fielders in place there behind square on the offside, so the best case result is 4. You can't get 6 from it. You're not going to get elevation on it. There's 2 fielders in place trying to cut off the 4, so is it the best option?
Well, for me, no. And again, with the way the batters have fallen today and some of the shots that we've seen down the ground, I might be old school, Andrew.
Barry Mccarthy comes down the track and absolutely obliterates that one over the LHW financial planning boards all the way for 6. What a shot that is. That's what you got to do to the leg spinner. Put pressure on him down the track, gets it on the full. McCarthy's got all the power and the strength in the world. 6 to the total.
Well, I think probably Ben White's just got a little bit greedy here. You know, that flatter trajectory that you talked about, that he in there again, Andrew, profiting to a far greater extent, just very inviting to Barry McCarthy, and he didn't disappoint in whacking that down the ground.
He is good to watch with the bat, Barry McCarthy. Often it might not last as long as some of his fans would like, but when he hits it, it really stays it.
Well, it's different. It's belligerent. And as you say, exciting. He is an exciting cricketer, as we all know.
50 to win off 14 to the Knights. Can the Knights just close this out? Surely they can. The bonus point might be beyond them now. I think it's 139, maybe 140. Kevin Gallagher will confirm that for us, the match referee. Josh Little does decide to come down the track, but there's protection in the deep, so just going to be a single. 1 delivery remains for Ben White. For the Lightning, this simply has to go for 6.
Absolutely. Must go for 6, this delivery. And Barry McCarthy will know that. And it's off the bottom. Oh!
Yeah, no real timing that time. Now, the good result for the Lightning is McCarthy will keep the strike at least, but it's going to be a massive task. He's going to need 4 every delivery. 48 to win off 12. A great spell of bowling from Ben White. Didn't get the 4th wicket he was looking for, but 14 runs coming from the over. And at this stage of the game, that's absolutely fine.
I think in a sense, as I said earlier, he got a little bit greedy, but it's been a fantastic spell of bowling from Ben White. And I think you're right, Andrew. I think he's going to be very much in the selector's eyes for this format of the game, for sure. Bowls with very good control.
Whether that World Cup is in India or in the UAE, which is almost certainly the reserve venue, the pitches are going to turn. Leg spin is going to play a huge role. Our 2 primary spinners, and they will continue to be the primary spinners, are Simi Singh and Andy McBride. You have to have a leg spinner. You have to love him. Ben White, 4 overs, no maidens, 3 for 27. Superb from him. Get him on the plane. Get him out to that World Cup.
Of course, I knew you'd be in that camp. Of course, Andrew Leonard loves his leg spinners.
Georgeson going to come around the wicket to McCarthy, try to close off his angles. Just hit into the pad, that's what he's targeting. He's trying to not give Barry McCarthy any freedom to free his arms. He's executed the perfect Yorker that thuds into the pad, results in a dot ball.
It'll be interesting to see what Barry McCarthy does to the next ball in terms of where he takes his actual approach. Will he stand outside leg stump to try and negate against that? What game of cat and mouse will be played here? But one thing I know, Georgeson will be full.
He's full and he's hit away into the leg side and fine legs outside the circle for that exact reason. You can see the tactic here. If you're just coming into T20 cricket for the first time, it might feel a little bizarre, but anything that isn't a 4 or a 6 is a good result at the moment. 4 fielders in the deep ball on the leg side. They're not allowing McCarthy or now Little to free the arms. In fact, the tactic's going to change for Little. So good analysis done of McCarthy's batting by the Knights. Going to come over the wicket now to Little.
Absolutely. And again, Josh would be a good candidate for question of sport. What happened next? Because you just never know. With Josh Little, anything could happen.
Hit into the leg side. And that anything that's going to happen is going to be 6 runs. Harry Tector's even signalling it. That long off.
Well, he bowled length there, Luke Georgeson. Needed to be that bit fuller, which large parts of the time he's done very well. And it's so interesting that in concentration terms, I just think again, without any if nor buts, you need to be as full as you can at this stage of an innings.
Just getting confirmation from the match referee Kevin Gallagher. 140 the Lightning need to pass to prevent the bonus point victory for the Northern Knights, but it'll be small consolation for them. 41 to win off 9. Little goes again to the exact same area of the ground. Doesn't quite get as much of it, but it's going to be 4 more. These late runs for the Lightning are going to leave them ruin what might have been. This batting performance not good enough from them. However, Barry McCarthy and Josh Little making it look so easy right now.
Absolutely. This has been a great late flurry from the 2 Pembroke men. Little and McCarthy, of course, their home ground, their home club ground, played all their cricket here. And Georgeson now switching to round the wicket again.
Yeah, this partnership, Alan, already worth 37, and it's come in just 3.5 overs. Where was this power hitting from the Lightning all through their middle order? They went missing.
They went totally missing. Conventional, a lot of sweep shots.
Looks for the extraordinary again. After you've just gone 6 and 4 down the ground, why would you look for the ramp with fine leg out?
Fine leg, deep square leg out. You've just cuffed 2 for 6 and 4, and you go to that shot. I just don't quite understand it.
What's the best case result from that shot he's just attempted?
1 or 4. Like, we need 6s.
Realistically, 1 or 2, though. I'm not even sure how you're getting.
Well,
that
if
one
you get
away
it finer, you might get 4. You know, you get a little inside edge on it.
He's going to go back to trying to heave it into the deep, and he's going to profit from it. No surprise there. In fact, that one nearly soaring all the way for 6. It's gone 6-4-4 in that over with the dot ball in between them. It's going to be too little too late, though, surely. 33 to win off the final over. Good hitting from Little.
Well, it just shows you when a wee bit of pressure comes on. That was a mixed bag from Luke Georgeson there, that over. Very good opening delivery. But the remaining 5, just lose your way a little bit in terms of your thought processes, how you're going to execute your skills.
I think, Alan, he's been a little fortunate for that over to only go for 15. You know, and lucky that the Knights had the runs in the bank to work with. How important are those late runs that came off the final Barry McCarthy over? Now, they're proving the difference between the sides, perhaps.
We talked about that on commentary, and it's often, you know, you think in these games, I think of a pal of yours, Ryan Campbell, you know, talks about a plan around T20 cricket, and he kind of reckons if you can get to 160, 170 in most games you play batting first, you have a good chance of winning. And that's something that the Knights, but that late flurry was so important by Adair. And match it.
Can Barry McCarthy pull off a miracle? He's going to need at least 5 6s in this over. 33 to win off 6. Mark Adair to bowl it. Going to start with a leg side wide. He'll still need 5 6s, McCarthy. 1 or 2 wides not really going to affect the outcome too much. The bonus point is saved from the Leinster Lightning, the one saving grace for the men in blue today. But unless Barry Mccarthy can pull off some absolute heroics, this game is going to end with a win for the Northern Knights. He's going to need 5 sixes, Alan.
Certainly is. And if he completes the task,
that is nearly game over. In fact, the best the Lightning can do if Mark Adair keeps his foot behind the line now is a tie, which would send us to a super over. But for that to happen, Josh Liddell's going to have to pongo 5 consecutive deliveries for 6.
I don't think that's going to happen, Andrew.
Yeah, particularly against Mark Adair's death bowling. He's been really impressive today. Often you look at bowling cards, you don't necessarily get the full tale of the game. 3.1 overs, 1 for 26, but he's been really good. Clothed into the leg side, not enough. That's going to be game, set, and the match for the Knights. Mark Adair, keep your foot behind the line. Your side is going to be taking 4 points.
Well, couldn't agree with you more, Andrew, but the most important thing in these games is your big players deliver. And Mark Adair has delivered today. When he's on song, Mark Adair is box office. And again, it can ebb and flow with Mark Adair, but today he's led from the front for his team.
Hit into the offside. No real timing for McCarthy, probably looking to go over extra cover, but it's just come off the outside edge. That low full toss is often not a bad delivery as well.
I've said it, Andrew, time and time again. Why veer from that area? Be as full as you can. There's largely only one, and obviously at top level we see players give themselves room and squirt it square. Fine. Good shot, but the areas where you can defend most progressively.
And he's gone to the Yorker again. Little's done really well to dig it out and get it away for 4, but it's too little too late. Quite literally, too little too late.
Very good, Andrew. I like that. Too little too late. Oh, he's been dreaming of that all day.
Well, you do your prep, you get the break sometimes in life.
I hear you, Andrew. I hear you.
Yeah,
and there's no better preparer when it comes to cricket statistics, what's going on in world cricket. He isn't called Cricket Badge for nothing.
Thank you, Alan. Slower ball. And just really scooped Ross Adair, tempted to throw it. He's had a great day, Ross Adair. I think he's been outstanding. The enthusiasm, the professionalism, it's infectious. He's been at the top level of rugby, being a professional rugby player, and I just think he brings something to the Knights.
He certainly does. And of course, we were questioning before the game, why maybe is he not up the order, opening the batting where he's been so successful. But it was that end of the game, sluggish enough beginning, but he bombarded the Lightning.
The game is going to end in a convincing win for the Northern Knights. What a bounce back from them, closed out by the brilliance of Mark Adair, and coupled with the performance of his brother Ross Adair alongside the leg spin of Ben White, it has been outstanding. Really superb stuff from the Northern Knights. They have bounced back in emphatic fashion. They've turned it around despite a 51-run partnership between Little and McCarthy. Good late fireworks from them, but it was too little too late, as I've already said, and they're going to run out victors by 22 runs. What a turnaround from the Knights, Alan.
Well, what a difference a day makes from what could only be said as an abject performance yesterday to an outstanding performance today. Really no blips apart maybe from the middle part of the innings for the Knights. I thought their bowling, their ground fielding in particular, their catching, they were athletic, they were enthusiastic, and they must be cock-a-hoop. And again, it just kind of proves, Harry Tector said before the game started, you don't become a bad team overnight. And I'm sure he was rattling home that message, because there's not much you can say in a changing room after a performance like yesterday. You pack your bag, you don't fill yourself full of emotion, you get on the horse the next day. And you said a very interesting thing earlier part that it was an advantage for them being out first today.
Yeah, the quick turnaround is no doubt turned things around. You see the Northwest Warriors actually already here at the ground. It's a great festival feel, isn't it? 6 games in 3 days. Fist bumps between the sides, but the Leinster Lightning, they've got questions to be answered, because they were beaten, and they were beaten in emphatic fashion today. Not good enough from the Leinster Lightning, the reigning champions, and they've got some thinking to do.
Well, they were lacklustre, they were untidy, their ground fielding was poor, elements of their catching, their energy, it just wasn't there today. And often, we talked about it, Andrew, that last game against the Netherlands, what gets into guys? But there'll be a lot of soul searching down there after the match.
Yeah,
I think out on the...
You can see Brian
outfield.
O'Rourke, the assistant coach, having a chat with Kevin O'Brien. Nigel Jones, such a passionate, brilliant head coach, but he is going to wonder what has happened. I don't think they were hugely impressive yesterday against the Reds. I think perhaps they just haven't flipped the switch into the T20 format. We've spoken at length about the growing gap between the formats, just how different the games are between the 50 over format and the 20 over format. But let's take a look at the cards. We'll wait to find out who the player of the match is. You'll find out shortly with John Kenny. A big win, Alan. A really big win. How good were the Knights?
Well, they were very good. And at the start of the innings, James McCollum showed great promise, 25 from 17. And Ruan Pretorius did a reasonable job, but it was that piece at the end. Ross Adair, Johnny Matchett, taking the game away from the Leinster Lightning. And, 174 was always going to be a difficult total. And you can look at those numbers there, Andrew.
Josh Little in particular outstanding with the ball, though, for the Lightning. Remember, his first over was hit for 13, hit out of the attack, came back bowling his remaining 3 overs with 3 for 13 to finish with 3 for 26. Dockrell really good as well. O'Halloran expensive today, looked a bit tired to me, might get a rest tomorrow. You'd have to think Rory Anders will likely come in. And what about the chase? The chase that never got going. Look at that middle order, missing in action.
Well, you only look at the beginning, and again, it's a symptom. Kevin O'Brien 4 from 8, Simi Singh 10 from 15. Balbirnie really the only one in any way to get going. A middle order that collapsed. A late cameo from McCarthy and Little, but they were always behind the 8 ball. And let's look at these bowling numbers for the Knights.
Yeah, good all-round stuff. No sign of Harry Tector with the ball today, and no sign of Ruan Pretorius with the ball either. Perhaps surprising. The star of the show with the ball for me, Ben White and Ross Adair. Perhaps unlikely spin twins, the pair of them. Ross Adair not making the most convincing case. A bit like Aaron Finch, the big stocky burly man. Is he going to be the one who's going to be the player of the match? It was unanimous from the commentators. Let's go to John Kenny and find out if it's going to be him.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Yes, so a 22-run bounce-back victory after their disappointment yesterday for the Knights, and in the end it was convincing. Barry McCarthy, as you mentioned, and also Josh Little. A forlorn chase in the end, but it was exciting to watch. Some of the players that we got to mention today: Ben White with 3 wickets, and also Andy Balbirnie, the Irish captain, making 42, but he did mention him. Ross Adair is our player of the match. A little cameo at the end there, Ross, with the 21, just to push you above the 170 mark as well, and a couple of wickets today. It's a good bounce back. I talked to Harry Tector about the toss. He said yesterday's loss doesn't turn us into a bad team, and so it proved.
No, yeah, you're right. We spoke in length yesterday about how games like that happen sometimes, and it was important for us to come here early today and really kick on and change a few things and bounce back from that. Yeah. Sure.
So what was a bit of soul searching yesterday after the game?
Yeah, just a wee bit. But like Harry said, one bad game doesn't turn us into a bad team. And we know how good Leinster are, and it was a perfect opportunity to come back against those boys and really show what we're about.
Sure. Batting and bowling today, good performance with a couple of wickets, and then a little cameo towards the end as well. Yeah. How did you feel yourself out there?
Yeah, I felt alright. Probably a wee bit better from last year. I was maybe in around for 8 balls, and I wanted this year to hang about a bit more and see if I'm in at the end. I've sort of fancy myself a wee bit to go a bit bigger, but I was just glad.
Sure. You quit the rugby to concentrate fully on cricket. Good choice?
Well, I'm still playing club rugby for Ballinhinch in 1A, so I look forward to getting back to that.
I'm talking about probably in a professional sense.
Oh yeah, I packed it in. The hips were giving me a bit of bother, so got them fixed, and I'm enjoying my cricket a bit more. Get to play with the wee brother, which is always nice, even though it gives me a lot of stick, but it's all good.
Sure. Munster Reds tomorrow. Yeah. How do you see that one going?
I'm not sure. It depends which nights turn up. If we can go like that again today, keep buzzing in the field. and sort of lads contributing the whole way down, and we work hard in our bowling. It'll be a good game, I imagine.
Okay, well, we look forward to the Munster Reds in action, who'll be here this afternoon taking on the Warriors, who had a comprehensive victory themselves yesterday. Well done to Rossa there. That's our player of the match. I'm John Kenny. Hope you've enjoyed our presentation of the opening game, 4 o'clock Irish time, for the second game of the series here today. It's the Warriors against the Munster Reds. We'll be back with you for full coverage of that game.